people, and welcome to another episode of TwitchTok. My name is Corey Adam. Welcome. Here we go. We're here. We've made it. We're going. Everything's good. Here we go. Wow. What up? I'm ready for you to serenade our ears. Okay, what do you want me to serenade? How? How do you want me to serenade you, bro? Bro, how you want to serenade you, huh? All right, let's see. If you want to join in on the show, you want to jump in, talk, hit over to donate. Nope, go over to Discord. Boom. Also, go over to Venmo. Everything you give goes to help this. If you want to follow me there, that's all out of the way. I'm going to copy this. Oops. There we go. Now we're going to go like this. We got a really good one for you today. Shit's pretty crazy. It's pretty hectic. Stuff always happens. That's why we're here, baby. Yeah. Okay, let's go there. Boom. How we doing, guys? Hello. But is the couch still for sale? I don't know. I was really mad, actually. I had a really good one, and then they called me, and I'm all like, I thought we'd do a bracket for pet name genitalia. No, we did. Yesterday was our 100th episode, and we celebrated by doing a Salty 16, which was a bracket for cum. So, you know, if you had a cool euphemism for cum, yesterday was your time to shine. You can go back and watch it. Couple different things is that we're going to be changing some format stuff for you guys. We'll do all this announcement shit on the beginning. First and foremost, our Thursday episodes, which have John Russell in them, will no longer be uploaded to YouTube. I got in trouble yet again. Like, AEW and WWE go nuts when you even show a little bit of a clip, even if it's on their, like, a Twitter that's like a 10-second clip. So rather than try to get in trouble with fucking... Is this really soft? Yeah, it seems soft, right? There we go. Is that better? Can you guys hear me better? Is that better? I feel like that was better. I feel like I was... I feel like before I was too soft. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, Hiwawa kawi awa. Hello, kawi awa. Is that what you're doing? Hello. That's how you spelled it, right? Hello. What up, Eugene's pool boy? Yeah, so, yesterday we had a tournament of finishers, as it were. We had the 16 best names for cum going head to head. I won't tell you who won. You can go over there and you can watch the bracket as it goes. To chirp in when I needed. I'm no help to the Twitch stream. Okay. Well, like, why are you on there? You're so weird. I'm not going to help the Twitch stream today, but here I am on Twitch, I guess. Makes no sense. You make no sense. What the fuck? Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. Shall we? They changed my stuff. Me no like that. Oh, well, whatever. Now I'm hard. Mine didn't win, but I found solace in the bottom of the bottle. Yeah, mine didn't either, if it makes you feel any better, JJ. Blood alcohol content. My favorite was snake spray. But it, of course, went up against penis colada in the opening round, so it never had a chance. Well, hello. Hello, Red Fox Mad. How are you today? Thank you for joining us. Fuck yeah, we're doing this. This is how it happens. Yeah. So, anyways, long story longer. So we do, okay. That's me running away from a monster. Hype Oni? Huh, funny. Yeah, look at all these hype stuff. That's cool. Yeah, we had a lot of weird stuff. So anyways, Oh shit! First time listening to you on this show. Oh, nice. Shut the fuck up, Karen. Mash that subscribe button, man. Like everything you do helps. We need that stuff over here as well. But you guys, yeah, pretty rad. Let's see here. We're gonna remove this. There it goes. Yep. That one's on. That one's on. That one's on. Remove. Whoops. No, not rename. God damn it. God damn it. These hands, they do nothing. That's Russell. We'll leave Russell. We'll leave Russell alone, goddammit. Actually, that one we will rename. Russell. I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Welcome, shut the fuck up, Karen. I like just reading that name. Hello, shut the fuck up, Karen. Welcome, shut the fuck up, Karen. Thank you, shut the fuck up, Karen. Yeah, hell yeah. Get those bits in, bitches. Oh, nice. Look at that. See that? That's how we do right here. Olsen Tree giving the shut the fuck up, Karen, their first sub to the channel. Welcome. That way you That reminds me. That's why this all feels so flat. We don't even got our music going. What the fuck am I doing? What am I doing, you guys? Oh, hell yeah. Mash that follow button, baby. Fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. There you go. Share it up, baby. There you go. We'll get that little background music going. Yeah, fuck yeah. No hype trains before 1 p.m. It's a rule. That's not a rule. You can have multiple hype trains. Stop it. Boom, boom. All right, so yeah, there we go. So, all right, let's get back to what we're talking about. So, anyways, YouTube keeps copy striking me like a fucking asshole. So, yeah, don't bit block, JJ. Everything helps, man. We can have a hype train. Check it out. We can have a hype train twice in a stream. It's fine. We'll get there, man. Stop fucking hating. You know what we didn't start out with? We didn't start out with our nice moment of peace, right? That's why everything's all fucked up.
Apology accepted.
There we go. Take it in. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. On Thursdays from now on, we're still going to do the show. So on Thursdays, we're going to still have John Russell on here. We're still going to do everything the same. So if you watch this show live, nothing's going to change. It's going to be the exact same show. Where it's different is if you've been catching any of these on YouTube, we're going to start migrating the reruns just onto the Twitch channel. So if you catch them on Twitch, you catch them on Twitch. We'll still put YouTube ones up here and there. Like we might do this one, who knows, but we just can't do the wrestling ones. I've gotten 2 copyright strikes because of the wrestling ones. Like they do not fuck around. Like, God forbid you show a 10-second clip that's all over Twitter. So, yeah, that's what's happening with that. And we're also going to go to where only the subscribers can see the backed episodes. So, if you miss John or you have to work on Thursdays, the only way you'll be able to see Thursday's wrestling show is by being a subscriber, which most people in here are. So that should be fun. The other thing is that we're going to add some more format days. One of the days I want to add is I want to add a sports cheat day. I want to add a day where we just talk about sports cheats. Like, and maybe it's not a day, maybe it's just a segment in a day, but just there are so many people that cheat at sports, and it's so fascinating to me. Just the ideology of like, hey, I'm going to do this competitive game and I'm going to cheat. And I'm not even just talking, I mean, like, obviously the pros are interesting and everybody likes that shit, but like, that's not even what I'm talking about. You know, like what I'm talking about is just fucking hilarious because it's the whole, God, why is this all crappy? I need to get better stats. This shit is so garbage. I don't know why the fuck it's doing it. But yeah, so we're gonna have more format days. We'll have another like Tovar day. We'll have all that stuff. So it's just we're gonna do some formatting changes. We're gonna try and get this a little bit more tight. We're over 100 episodes now, so now is the time where we start working on making the show better, and that's huge, you know. One for Drug John. Yeah, Drug John was ridiculous. Where should we start today? Today we got a really good show for you today. I think the first place we should start is Lebanon. Lebanon actually had their entire government resign. So, that's really fucking weird. The reason they had that happen was... Oh, God. There we go. That giant explosion that happened. If you haven't seen it, we'll watch it quick and then we'll go over the backlash of it. So apparently, word on the street is that this explosion was a cache of like pirated and bad guns that everybody fucking knew was there. So that's kind of crazy, you know. So here we go. We're gonna start here, work our way back.
There are troubling new allegations tonight about that deadly port explosion in Beirut. Sources have told the Guardian newspaper that prior to the blast, dozens of bags of fireworks were being stored in the same warehouse as that stockpile of ammonium nitrate, which acts as an accelerant in a fire. In video from the day of the blast, you can see white flashes, what appear to be fireworks, going off before the massive explosion. A former port worker told the Guardian newspaper he warned for years it was a disaster waiting to happen and says nothing was done.
Okay, so that is the explosion itself, right? So this
morning,
is
where the search for survivors.
This is
Here
afterwards.
is a look at Beirut this morning, where the search for survivors continues in the port area after that devastating explosion on Tuesday. At least 175 people are dead.
Jeff,
Dozens
mute your mic when you come in, you
missing.
motherfucker.
Lebanon's prime minister is promising people in the country that those to blame will face the consequences. The report, a number of port officials are now under house arrest, and there's still no official word on the cause. Negligence, the focus, though, for investigators. More than 2,700 tons of highly explosive ammonium nitrate had been in a warehouse in the port for years. So for more on all of this, let's bring back Laura McQuillan. Laura, walk us through some of the details that we're learning.
Well, interestingly, John, you mentioned negligence there, and actually the finger is being pointed at officials, government officials, and the judiciary in terms of that. But let me take you back, because you need to go back to 2013 to really understand what's gone on here. That is when a Russian ship sailed into Beirut's port. It was destined for Mozambique, carrying all of that ammonium nitrate. It was set to become commercial explosives in Mozambique, but had to make an emergency stop in Lebanon. Now, it was actually impounded because it was deemed unseaworthy. You're looking at the ship on your screen at the moment. Its crew was held on board the ship for a year, and then they were freed the following year, but that ammonium nitrate was confiscated, put in that warehouse on the port where it did explode just days ago. Now, going back to 2014, we know that there were at least 6 warnings from Lebanese customs officials to the country's courts, which had imposed the order that that ammonium nitrate must remain in the warehouses. They'd said, how can we dispose of this? They'd suggested giving it to the Lebanese military or selling it to a private company. Records now suggesting the courts never responded to any of those requests for help there. Described back in 2014 by the former Captain John as a floating bomb. That's how many concerns there were about what was on board that ship. And even just 6 months ago, when this was last inspected, There was a warning from those inspectors that the ammonium nitrate could, quote, blow up all of Beirut if not moved. So years and years of warnings not heeded by officials, and a lot of scrutiny now over who knew what and why they didn't act.
So, Laura, what does all of this mean for the Lebanese government?
Well, it is already facing a lot of trouble. The country economically collapsing. It is under a lot of pressure over things like corruption, conflict, of course, decades of that, and now COVID-19 putting even more strain on an already very strained country. A dire situation right now. There are warnings of a total collapse or a public uprising over this disaster. We spoke to one expert about what might happen.
So now this is important to note because they talk about the uprising, and that's kind of what we're going to get to in a little bit here. So pay attention to this.
The main issue is that for 6 years, almost all the responsible of the Lebanese government, security services, the port authority were aware about the presence of a ticking bombing in the middle of Beirut, a huge bomb in the middle of Beirut, and they didn't take any action. They did a lot of, I would say, paperwork to cover themselves, but no one took an action to protect the population.
And that is exactly what a lot of Lebanese people are saying on social media, what local media is reporting as well, that anger now directed at the government. The government responding, its economy minister speaking to CBC Radio's As It Happened, he said, as it happens rather, he said that the blame for this needs to lie with successive governments, but he does say there has to be a stiff penalty here. Here is what he told CBC.
It is certainly incompetence. It is certainly as well people not understanding and assessing the risks. It is bureaucracy and frankly, in my opinion, stupid behaviors and decisions. And it is criminal negligence from a lot of people. Whoever was responsible since 2014 until now will have to be brought to court, and really sanctions should be very hard.
And the government has ordered house arrest for a number of port officials. Port officials having said that they've been giving warnings of this for years, John. So some concern, certainly a lot of outrage from the public. They do not want there to be any scapegoating here. They want that pressure on the government to continue till they get answers over what went wrong and why.
Thanks for this.
Okay,
Sometimes
so,
getting closer to each other.
Nobody cares. So, all right, so that's kind of what
on the explosion in Beirut. We're joined now by Chris Hunter. He's an explosions expert and
here we go.
bomb
Yeah, this guy.
disposal
This is the guy
operator,
we're watching for.
and he's been watching videos of what happened. Chris joins us now from Hay on Wye in Wales. Thanks for your time, sir. Really appreciate it. We've learned that nearly 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate caused the explosion. Seeing what you've seen, examining the video with your background, what did you think?
Well, certainly I'm aware that the United States president yesterday suggested it was an attack. There's nothing to suggest that was the case. I'm both a counterterrorism specialist and a bomb technician, including an investigator. And what was very clear, as you look at the initial sort of footage, you see the grey plume of smoke, a large cloud, and a raging fire taking place, lots of flashes and sparks, which is consistent with the storage of fireworks and the storage of potential ammunition, such as that used in handguns and rifles and the like. And then as that cooked off, we know that there was ammonium nitrate fertilizer being stored co-located.
Yeah, it's pretty cool explosion.
And as you mentioned in the previous report, a significant amount of it.
Like,
and
the damage, okay, the damage is gruesome, and it sucks that many people died, and that's garbage. But it's a really cool explosion, right? Like, it looked like an H-bomb almost. I mean, like, it was crazy, and they were all like, oh, it's just fireworks. Like, we watched it live here when it happened, because we were watching it, and it's not fucking anything. Doesn't look anything like Somalia. Looks like Beirut after an explosion. Calm down. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, there were a website. If you go onto the Discord, so shut the fuck up, Karen. We have a Discord for this channel. So this channel, I know you're from there. If you go into this Discord, if you go into the show talk, we have all the links from the show up there. So we actually have the links from when we were doing that. So there's there are links in there that you can see a bunch of phones and stuff, like just a bunch of shit. So yeah, that's funny. I mean, it's not like actually Beirut was actually, it was doing better than you think it was. I'll just say it that way. Yeah, let's go back to this explosions expert. Whoa.
Very clear as you look at the initial sort of footage.
3,000.
Here we go. Back. There we go.
And he's been watching videos of what happened. Chris joins us now from Hey on Why in Wales. Thanks for your time, sir. Really appreciate it.
Shout out to Bull Prop. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it.
3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate caused the explosion. Seeing what you've seen, examining the video with your background, what did you think?
Well, certainly I'm aware that the United States president yesterday suggested it was an attack. There's nothing to suggest that was the case. I'm both a counterterrorism specialist and a bomb technician, including an investigator. And what was very clear, as you look at the initial sort of footage, you see the grey plume of smoke, a large cloud, and a raging fire taking place, lots of flashes and sparks, which is consistent with the storage of fireworks and the storage of potential ammunition, such as that used in handguns and rifles and the like. And then as that cooked off, we know that there was ammonium nitrate fertilizer being stored, co-located, and as you mentioned in the previous report, a significant amount of it. And ammonium nitrate, is used agriculturally, very innocuously. But of course, as soon as you heat it up, with a really high temperature flame, if it's in sufficient quantities and the conditions are correct, then you can cause it to actually burn to detonation, which is exactly what we saw. And then the subsequent blast wave traveling out, all of the associated damage with that.
Yeah, and we've been showing viewers some of the many videos that were taken at that moment when the explosion occurred. But this is a situation where ammonium nitrate, for example, in Canada, very tight restrictions with inspections and specifics around the type of facility it should be stored in. So moving something like that in that quantity to a warehouse, what kind of situation does that create?
Well, I think first and foremost, John, the movement of ammonium nitrate fertilizer, as you said, it's nowadays it's pretty much restricted, and it's certainly monitored, but it does travel all around the world and usually by sea freight. Consignments of this quantity, 2.75 thousand tons, isn't unusual, but what we do know is that the vessel, a Moldovan flag vessel, had technical difficulties. As a result, it was considered unseaworthy. After a period of time, it was determined the cargo was potentially hazardous on board. But then the really unusual decision that really, defies common sense and logic, to move it into the port area, which is surrounded, as you can see, and as everybody knows, by, residences, commercial and domestic dwellings. That was a really unusual decision to make. Now, it's not dangerous in its raw state, of course, but when you've got an industrial port, when you've got it stored next to a fireworks storage facility, and the potential, of course, for fires, then it really should never have been there for that amount of time. It should
and see
immediately really have been moved and either destroyed.
So that's the big problem in all of this, right? Is that shit should not have been there for that long. Like, it shouldn't have been there ever, probably, but it definitely shouldn't have been there for that long, and people have been warning them about this. So this is a real negligent moment for the officials right now, and that's something to really notate and understand, because this is not okay. And there have been mass protests. We'll get to the rest of the story in a sec, but I mean, this is crazy.
Or, being recycled, if you like, and sent out for agricultural use.
As you say, it is common because agriculture is common all over the world, and the need for fertilizer is ubiquitous. So it begs the question, how many other stores like this, how many other ticking time bombs are sitting on ports and warehouses and storage facilities around the world?
Ugh. Ads. Thanks for nothing, Raspberry. Oh.
Locations where there are quantities, significant quantities of ammonium nitrate fertilizer. The difference is they're not sitting there for, you know, years and years on end, baking in the sun, drying out, and nor are they co-located next to dangerous, flammable, and indeed explosive storage facilities. I think there was a comedy of errors, a series of faults at stake here, and a series of coincidences as well that all combined to create this devastating and horrific incident. But I don't think it's something we need to worry about, you know, as a general rule of thumb. But of course, you know, it just goes to show that negligence will certainly cause something catastrophic if those other factors come into play.
Just to help our viewers understand the magnitude of this, comparisons have been made, of course, to the Oklahoma City bombing, and the aspect there that what we're seeing in Lebanon was effectively 2,000 times that. As well, in Canada, we have, over 100 years ago, the Halifax explosion, where a vessel with munitions caught fire. And it is, as I understand it, about the same magnitude of explosion. Can you talk about an explosion like this going off and the way, as we've seen?
What do you think the odds are? This guy's going to talk about it.
Doing terrific.
Hard no. It's a duck with a boner drag weeds.
I think a duck with a boner does drag weeds.
Seen the blast carrying in terms of its destruction and even the smashing of windows going on for kilometers away.
Sure. I mean, the Halifax was one of the most significant explosive accidents in history, and this was significantly higher. In the 30 years that I've been a bomb technician or involved in the explosives world, this is certainly the most significant incident I've ever seen outside of a military test. To put it into context, 2.75 kilotons of ammonium nitrate fertilizer is the equivalent, we use TNT as the sort of equivalent for explosives. It's the equivalent of a 1 kiloton TNT device, which is the same as a tactical battlefield nuclear weapon in that sort of context. So what you would see is a point of detonation, a rapid expansion of gas, heat, light and pressure, traveling out radially in all directions. Because there was hard standing underneath it, you would see it like a hemisphere, which was the big white cloud that we saw.
Think you go to bomb school?
Which then turns into a mushroom cloud above it, and traveling outwards, you get this blast wave which compresses the air, and it causes a sort of wall of concrete, and it smashes against everything in its path. Those blast waves are also reflected off other buildings and other structures, so they sort of actually come back and converge on each other as well, causing even greater damage. And that's just on the structures. Most structures are designed for wind loading and static loading, gravity, something like that. So as the blast wave travels out and upwards, it displaces floors, it displaces masonry, balconies, that sort of thing. And then as it pushes it up, it then comes back down again and becomes dislodged, and you get building collapse and catastrophic failure. And then you've got the blast injuries on the humans as well. So it's really significant.
So anyone, if I understand what you're saying, within that blast, unless they were somehow protected or sheltered, wouldn't really have stood any kind of a chance of survival.
Ugh. God damn it, I hate this. I literally spent 2 days installing this pie hole, and the little thing that it does fucking is navigated by YouTube. They're too sneaky, man. They're onto fucking everything.
In terms of the size of the explosive charge, and we look at it in terms of, you know, effectively severe, moderate and light damage. And, you know, anything really within a, you know, 1 kilometre, half a mile range, it's total destruction. Out to sort of 8 kilometres where, you know, you might get some glazing damage, but not necessarily people being injured by the glass unless they were out on the street and it was to collapse. And, you know, closer, 1 mile, 2 miles, then you still get significant injuries and structural damage as well. So it just depends on how close you were. One thing we did notice, though, you'll see the grain silo that was in the imagery, which was obviously heavily damaged. That actually acted as a blast wall. So some of the blast was deflected upwards rather than into the city. So at least, you know, a part of the city, there would be a reduction in the damage.
Chris, you've painted a frightening picture of what happened, but you've really helped us understand more of what did happen. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so basically that is the bomb technician. And then, so as a result to all that, we had... Where's the other one? I had it on here. You motherfuckers. You dirty, rotten motherfuckers. There it is. So as a result, protests have boiled over in Beirut, and it's gotten real crazy. And they were protesting for like 3 or 4 days, so we'll go to this one now.
In Beirut, protests over the Lebanese government's response to this week's deadly explosion turned violent today. Lebanese riot police fired tear gas at protesters in Beirut's city center. Some protesters set fires and threw objects at police. There's been widespread anger at government officials over corruption and incompetence at
we're
failing
talking about
to prevent
Beirut
the
and the explosion,
massive blast on Tuesday, which killed at least 158 people, injured 6,000, and left hundreds of thousands homeless. More than 2,000 tons of explosive ammonium nitrate had been stored at the port for years. Since the blast, at least 19 people have been detained, including the port's chief. Even before the blast, Lebanon was in the midst of its worst economic crisis in decades. Dozens of people are still missing, and at the site of the explosion, rescue workers, some of them from other countries, continue the search for survivors. NewsHour Weekend Special Correspondent Layla Milana Allen has more.
Let him come back. Dear God, just let him come back. At the entrance to the Beirut port, the epicenter of Tuesday's explosion, desperate families sit for hours, praying their loved ones will be found. Zainab is waiting for news of her husband who worked here. He hasn't been seen since the blast. Inside, a scene of utter devastation. The acrid stench of burning metal, plastic and chemicals hangs heavy in the air, black ash coating every surface. Packing crates spill out charred, misshapen lumps amid the rising dust, barely recognizable as the freshly imported goods once stacked in these warehouses. A washing machine here, what might have been a glass jug there.
Just a few days ago, this was a thriving port, Beirut's lifeline to the rest of the world. And now, piles of rubble, twisted smoking metal is all that remains.
And underneath that rubble, human beings. These disfigured, crumbling ruins were once Lebanon's national grain reserve. 15,000 tons of wheat and 10,000 of corn were destroyed, now forming an unstable mountain of waste through which rescuers must wade. Dozens of countries have sent rescue teams to help in the effort. These French rescue workers have been digging non-stop for 35 hours to try and reach 7 people they believe are buried underneath at least 30 meters of concrete and earth. The conditions are extreme. They're working in full protective gear in 90-degree heat, in air thick with toxic fumes and dust. But even more perilous are the structures on the point of collapse that surround them.
Le danger principal, il vient soit d'en bas, soit d'en haut.
The main danger is from both above and from below. From above, the structure behind could collapse with any vibrations. And from below, when you're looking for the foundations, if you hit the wrong spot, you could get collateral damage.
The risk is so great that the Turkish Red Crescent has set up a field hospital directly behind the search and rescue site. It's not only for retrieved victims, but for the rescue workers in case something goes wrong.
So it's set up just like a real emergency room. Exactly.
Emergency or ventilatör.
So you have a ventilator here, you have a monitor, anything that people might need for serious injuries.
And the risk isn't just at the port area. The explosion destroyed residential neighborhoods for miles around. Here in Gemezi, one of the worst hit, the search is ongoing for both survivors and whatever can be retrieved from people's homes and businesses. But many buildings are now dangerously unstable, risking further collapse and injury. Back at the port, the team are using sniffer dogs to try and find dozens of other missing workers who could be buried along the seashore. Meanwhile, families like Zainab's can only wait, wonder, and hope.
Layla Milana Allen joined us from Beirut earlier today for more on this.
We're not going to watch all that, but it's just important to know that that's the protest that's happening. And then as a result, and this is kind of why we brought it up, link 3 over here, I guess.
We all want a future that matter.
What the hell? These goddamn ads, I tell you. All right, so this is what's happening now. This actually happened yesterday. So after like 3 or 4 days of pretty hardcore protests, this is what's happening now. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. But then the result is almost crazier in a lot of aspects. So this is what happened after the protests. The entire fucking government resigned. It's fucking crazy.
Has announced his government's resignation. It comes nearly a week after the massive explosion that devastated much of Beirut and after days of angry protests. Demonstrators blame the country's ruling class for decades of widespread corruption and negligence. Lebanon's president accepted the government's resignation, but he also asked it to stay on in a caretaker role. Tuesday's explosion in Beirut's port killed at least 200 people. Reporter Rebecca Collard is on the ground watching these events unfold.
نحن اليوم نحتكم إلى الناس.
The Lebanese Prime Minister has resigned tonight, but people are still in the streets and they are still very angry. They say after this blast on Tuesday that killed so many people and destroyed so much of their city, they want new elections under a new electoral law. I'm just going to show you behind me, the army now is coming towards us. We're just going to move out of the way. They've been trying to clear these protesters off the streets for hours here. Here they are. Let's just walk with them. I don't know where they're running, but as you can see, still a very tense situation tonight on the streets of Beirut after this resignation. People are angry. People are telling me they are going to stay in the streets. Beirut is devastated. Beirut is mourning, but it is also so angry. Rebecca Collard, CBC News, Beirut.
So the big question is, where does Lebanon go from here? Will this resignation satisfy the Lebanese people? Robert Malley is the president and CEO of the International Crisis Group. Mr. Malley previously served as a White House coordinator for the Middle East, North Africa, and the Gulf region in the Obama administration. Mr. Malley, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
The government's resignation, it was sudden, but it did follow this string of ministerial...
Did you guys hear that? There's like a buzzer. Hey, guy, I know you're doing this interview, but we can wait. There's somebody at your door.
Resignations. How surprised were you by this move?
I mean, I think the writing was on the wall when you had a number of ministers, some of whom were viewed as slightly more independent, resigned. When you had the mass protests, it was the country was becoming virtually ungovernable. I think the prime minister was left with little choice but to resign and now to govern in a caretaker capacity until a new government takes its place.
So your organization, the International Crisis Group, it characterized this explosion as an accident in name only. Why did you describe it that way?
Because it's the fruit not of some natural event, it's the fruit of, well, first and foremost, of the criminal negligence in leaving 30,000 tons practically of an explosive device in an area that could have at any point been the subject of this kind of accident. And besides, we know that for the past many years, it's been there for 6 years. For the past many years, some officials at the port had been warning about it and saying something had to be done about it, and no action was taken. So at a minimum, it is a case of criminal negligence, not an accident. But beyond that, it really is a reflection of a government system, a state system that is profoundly corrupt, that is profoundly ill-governed, and its political class was looking more to enrich itself, to entrench itself in positions of power, rather than to govern effectively. And this is the very unfortunate disaster that is the fruit of all that. That's why we say it really is an accident in name only.
Okay, so the government has resigned, but some of the protesters are saying this isn't enough. They want the complete ouster of the country's political elite. So more than just what has happened today, which is a significant move in and of itself. I mean, do you see an avenue here where the protesters' demands can be met?
Well, I mean, by definition, it's hard when the protesters understandably are demanding the complete dismemberment, dismantling of a political system that has operated by consensus among rivals. I mean, these are parties that were in a vicious civil war in the 1970s, a civil war that lasted over a decade, 15 years, and then came together in a system in which each elite member of the political class found a way to take advantage of the setup that was made. And so calling for the dismantlement of the system means that all of the political elite has to go. They're going to fight for their survival. They still have some support, and it's going to be a tug of war that's going to be very hard for the demonstrators and protesters to win, because they're facing a political class that, however divided it is, will unite on one goal, which is to preserve itself.
We've seen countries like here in Canada offer aid to trusted agents in the region to help with the recovery here. We've also seen French President Macron speak to people in Beirut saying that there would be a new arrangement of some sort. I mean, when you look at what needs to happen next, what role is there for the international community? What should they be doing to help Lebanon right now?
Give them money.
Well, the first thing is to provide humanitarian assistance, and as we and many others have called for, and the meeting that took place on Sunday, led by France, also called for, this aid has to go directly to the people, maybe going through civil society organizations that enjoy credibility, not in the hands of those who have been engaged in predatory behavior for the past several decades. So that's step number one. I think step number two, as we argued in a report a few months ago.
Hey, give to charity. But don't let the government see you. They bad.
Is to find a way to tie more significant assistance, the kind of assistance that the IMF can give, the kind of assistance that other countries can give, to some structural reforms to make sure that it will not, that the assistance won't be wasted, and that it could serve to create a different Lebanon. But we have to keep some of those expectations in check. As I said, you're facing a system that will fight for its survival, and some of those who are fighting for their survival are heavily armed. I mean, you have an organization like Hezbollah, which is virtually a state within the state, and you have other organizations, other movements that, without anywhere near that firepower, also have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. So it will be an uphill battle, and hopefully some reforms can be taken, and over time, a more structural change in the governance of the country can take place.
Before we let you go, I have to ask you about another topic of great importance here in Canada, and that is about your colleague, Michael Kovrig. He and Michael Spavor have now been detained in China for more than 600 days. You're Mr. Kovrig's employer.
Yeah, that's another one, too, that if you're not following that, there's people from Canada that have been detained in China. Kind of weird, right?
Do you have any new information? Do you have any new understanding of how he is doing?
Well, as you said, 610 days, I think today, 610 days during which Michael has not been able to see his family, to see the sunlight, even to see anyone other than Canadian consulate officials. And what has happened since January, since COVID-19 struck, Chinese authorities used that moment to say that he could no longer have access to consular access, which could have been understandable at the outset, but we're now several months into it. Since January, he still has not had consular access. That's a violation of his rights that needs to be remedied. The Chinese authorities have worsened his conditions in terms of his access to the outside world, his ability to communicate to the outside world. So we're fighting together with Canada and others a two-front battle to improve his conditions of detention, make them more humane, but most importantly, to get him out, because he's being held as a pawn in what is, we have to call by its name, an effort by China to engage in hostage diplomacy, to get Ms. Meng, the CFO of Huawei, the Huawei company, who's being held in Canada on extradition charges to the U.S. Canada is using Michael and others, Michael Spavor as well, to try to get Ms. Meng out. That is wholly unjustifiable, wholly indefensible, and so it really is incumbent on Chinese authorities to let Michael go.
Mr. Malley, do you have any reaction to the letter that was signed by a group of prominent Canadians earlier this summer urging the Prime Minister to simply release Ms. Meng in the hopes of getting the two Michaels back? Is that a helpful move?
I can't take that anymore. Like, what is that guy making cappuccino? Like, what the fuck is happening there? Oh, there we go. That's way better. Oh, what? Yeah. I heard 5G gives you hepatitis A. A? Hepatitis A? That would be the worst of the hepatitis. Yoshi's Great 69. What up, buddy? JBTV, welcome. We're here. We're doing it. I had another one. "5G isn't good." Yeah, that's true. Oh, there's a yawn again. God damn these fucking yawns, man. I tell you, these goddamn fucking yawns. 5G has made my herpes itch less. Well, that's good. I'm glad your herpes itch less. They hate to love us, but when a problem rises, they're quick to bug us. Yeah. Yeah, is that funny? That's... Oh my god, the odds today. That's like so painfully true. Like, it's absolutely what happens. Like, they get all pissed and like, America's the bad guy till they fucking need us, and then we're not the bad guy. We're the okay guy. Like... Which is it, dude? You hate us, you don't hate us. I don't care either way, but like, whatever. Here's a cool thing that was on Cancel, that fucking cancel culture that Reason did. I find this very interesting and very relevant to my own life. I love this. It's pretty good. Let's watch, and then we talk. Nope. Caught that one. Sneaky fucks.
Canceling is.
There we go.
Here's what I think canceling is and why it's different from criticism. Criticism is expressing an argument or opinion with the idea of rationally influencing public opinion through public persuasion, interpersonal persuasions. Canceling comes from the universe of propaganda, not critical discourse. And it's about organizing or manipulating a social environment or a media environment with the goal or predictable effect of isolating or deplatforming or intimidating an ideological opponent. It's about making an idea or a person socially radioactive. Today, you'll hear the activists say, well, I didn't read the thing. I don't need to read the thing to know that it's colonialist or racist. So an open society is a place that has a lot of intellectual pluralism, a lot of diversity of viewpoints. It tries to pit bias and prejudice against other biases and prejudice. And it does that by forcing contention and critical argument and forcing people to persuade each other over time. That's really what science is. That's really what journalism is. The open society is not only incomparably better at producing knowledge than any other society because it allows us to make errors and not be punished for making errors. It allows us to make errors, in fact, much more quickly. That's the secret of science. I call it liberal science. The magic of liberal science is in the...
I have to address that. That's so funny, see, Kyle. Side note, I'm sort of ashamed nobody beat the shit out of Aaron on the Vegas Strip and stole his shoes and his wallet but left his watch. Yeah, that would be pretty funny if he got mugged and somebody left the fucking watch he's so proud of. I would laugh very hard at that.
The institutions that force us to channel these conversations in socially productive ways. If you're an academic, you're writing for journals, you're undergoing peer review, you're being credentialed by some kind of scientific organization. If you're a journalist, you submit to ethics codes, you probably work for an organization where you're supposed to tell the truth. All of these things are mediated in ways which allow us to be individuals, but also to understand some rules of engagement, to follow each other. Society where you don't have that, or a community, like, say, Twitter, or like, say, an academic culture where it's student to student and peer to peer, where you don't have that kind of mediation going on, the social fabric turns into kind of Lord of the Flies. Who can gang up on who can make the most noise, who can attract the most followers, and you begin to display to each other instead of talking to each other. Weirdly, the way to help us be more liberated as individuals is to strengthen the institutions that we use to connect each other. This is not a fight between one set of people and another set of people. It is also a fight within ourselves. There are ideas that each of us hate, and that it's very hard to restrain ourselves from not ganging up on in an illiberal way. The idea that wrong-headed and dangerous and heretical and blasphemous ideas should be not only allowed but protected is preposterous. It's ridiculous. No society has ever had that idea until about 250 years ago. It shouldn't work. But here we are, and the reason is because despite its ridiculousness, it has the one great advantage of being the single most successful social principle ever invented.
Yeah, it is mass virtue signaling. It's everybody is trying to gang up on everybody else so that nobody looks at them. That's what it is. And it's a bunch of people that aren't involved in stuff trying to get a say in it. And that, yeah. I think more people wear trackers, Fitbit, and Apple Watches. Yeah, duh. I mean, Apple Watches are still watches, right? I hate that What's your experience? What are your views? Who did you vote for? Yeah, I think like we need to get back to the old fucking tenets of who did you vote for, shut the fuck up. Right? Like that used to be the thing. Here's the canceled thing too. This is actually kind of cool because this is an everything is canceled. This is about comedy. This is pretty great. I love this.
Everything is canceled. This week, cancel culture. What?
Wait, there we go.
Well done, Internet. Everything is canceled. This week, cancel culture came for the most overrated, useless, unimportant, flavorless, bland, stale side dish of them all. No, Nick, we'll get to you in a second. Beans. Well, at the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative, Goya CEO and Toy Story 2 villain praised President Trump, and the bean boycott began. Congresswoman and heavy-honkered Hispanic AOC continued her unwavering support of minorities by canceling the minority business owner with the hashtag going away. Shockingly, it was conservatives that protected the Beaners, not by putting their kids in cages, or as they call it, Texas Hold'em, but by going on Twitter. Texas Senator and Down syndrome Wolverine Ted Cruz tweeted, "The left is trying to cancel Hispanic culture and silence free speech. Hashtag buy Goya." Interesting point. Now, how'd you feel about Nike supporting Colin Kaepernick, you spit-lipped twink? Cruz said, "I will no longer purchase Nike products. Hashtag walk away from Nike." Ted, the only thing you walked away from was your wife when she was getting mollywopped by Donald Trump. So, this is where we are, canceling food. Last week they canceled Uncle Ben's rice. No beans, no rice. Trump doesn't even need to build a wall. Once Mexicans find out, they're gonna go away on their own. And it's not just beans and rice. Cancelers came for the holy trinity of why Latin women fall off after kids. Butter. Yeah, they canceled the original Butterface, the hot-ass Native American Land O'Lakes chick. She was removed from the packaging of the box, and I'm pissed, because Pocahontas was a piece. I mean, look at her. She's already on her wounded knees. I'd let her give me scalp. Here's their new packaging. Well done, woke whites. You see what you did? You removed Native Americans from their land once again. I mean, it's just embarrassing. Speaking of being a little red in the face, the Washington Redskins are officially changing their team name, the second Washington team to do so after the Bullets changed their name to the Wizards. Nothing problematic about Wizards. No, I mean like real wizards. Okay, maybe wizards are problematic. Such a shame J.K. Rowling hates trans people, considering she made a spell that removes your wand. Penis deletus. Anyway, after years of protests, the Redskins finally realized their logo was offensive, and the natives caught their dream. Not because of those protests, but because FedEx decided to remove their sponsorship of the stadium. Just goes to show companies are only as woke as their pockets allow. From Redskins to butter to beans, this has been the week of cancellations, and no one got it harder than Miss Cleo's retarded stepson, Nick Cannon. Speaking of Goy away, that's exactly what CBS Viacom said to Nick for his anti-Semitic remarks. The host of conservative Karen's least favorite show, The Masked Singer, somehow didn't see this coming despite dressing like a prepubescent palm reader. The freshly showered mom said, "White people are savages and more like animals. Jewish people run the banks, and by 2050, all people in America will be people of color." Oy vey, where do I start? First of all, the point Mr. Mariah was too ignorant to communicate was that it's hypocritical for white supremacists to compare black people to animals and savages, while at the same time savagely conquering, colonizing, and enslaving them. And if he did say it like that, I don't think he'd get near the amount of pushback. Instead, he tried to justify racial supremacy with bullshit pseudoscience. Where have I heard this before? I don't know, Deshaun Jackson's favorite painter? Secondly, Jews don't own all the banks, only the ones where I put my money. And to suggest all Jews are complicit in an economic conspiracy to control the world is the exact type of language that was used by, I don't know, Deshaun Jackson's favorite author. You're quoting phase 1 of the Eradicate Jews handbook. That makes Jews more anxious than a buffet with no sneeze guard. And lastly, everyone in 2050 will be a person of color? I still plan on being here in 2050, and I'm whiter than an NBA player's wife, Nick. Unless you're planning on eliminating a group of people like, I don't know, Deshaun Jackson's favorite public speaker, it's probably better to avoid making these statements. And side note, if there are no white people in 2050, who the fuck is gonna watch The Masked Singer? So Nick, despite the stupid shit you said and your inability to read music, I don't think you're racist or an anti-Semite. I think you're insecure, willing to say whatever it takes to get the validation of the person in front of you. And in this case, the person in front of you was an anti-Semite and a racist. So you said some dumb shit, not as a joke, but while being completely serious. Unfortunately, what you said actually hurts the movement for black equality. When you say white people and Jews are genetically inferior, you're pushing away potential allies. The All Lives Matter crowd falsely believes BLM is a movement for black supremacy. And your comments confirm that irrational fear. So what do we do with Nick? Personally, I don't think he should lose his show for what he said. If it was up to me, he would have lost it years ago for being incredibly unfunny. But to cancel him for this will just drive him deeper into these misinformed beliefs. We can't condemn cancel culture and then demand Nick gets canceled just because our feelings are hurt. Only through forgiveness, communication, and conversation can we get people to do better and reject their backwards ideas. So maybe we can take the lead on forgiveness and show Nick the road to redemption. Because at the end of the day, we are a lot stronger together. You know, like a drum line. Thanks, guys. Peace.
So that was Andrew Schultz. That guy's, he's fucking nuts sometimes. But, you know, whatever. I hate when my words get changed. This fucking guy. Do you have that sound drop? I don't. I need to do that. I'm doing the sound drops this weekend if I get around to it. So hopefully that'll happen. I want it to happen, okay? I got to change this out real quick. There it is. This fucking guy. Hey, there we go. All right, perfect. I haven't reset that control panel in a while, so it got all fucking weird. Let's see. I think we have... Do we have our guest? Is Ryan in here? Should be. He's a very punctual man, usually.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, God. Are you in my head? What's happening? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing.
Yeah? Hi. Let me, first off, why don't you tell people who you are, and I'm gonna grab a mildly embarrassing picture of you off Facebook.
Oh, you mean the latest one?
Yeah, that guy your latest one is just trash. You're man, I don't even know. You know what? Yeah, we'll use that. Fuck it. I don't care. It's real bad,
That's
man.
priceless.
It's real bad.
I actually had a pretty libertarian client tell me, "You need a haircut, dude." And I'm like, "That's not very libertarian."
Yeah, fuck you. You need to stop being a communist libertarian. Pshaw, sir. Pshaw. It's amazing to me how many, and I'm sure you run into this all the time. It's amazing to me how many people are quote unquote libertarians, and then they say some fucking weird ass communist shit like that. Oh, you need to cut these sideburns. Like, what? It's for morale. Like, how about just fuck you?
Hey, well, obviously they're not real libertarians.
What does that even mean? Like, you and I are pretty libertarian. I mean, you're not even a libertarian. You're more of like a minarchist.
That's true.
Or like an ANCAP. I don't even know what the fuck you call yourself. A piece of shit, right?
You know, I get that once in a while. Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, pretty good, right? We're just
hey, it's even better now.
We're editing it on the fly. Kind of pretty good new duds since the last time you've been on here, huh?
Yeah.
We're gradually we have episode 101. That's what today is. And we're just trucking the fuck along, man. We're doing it. It sucks because we don't get a chance to visit with people that much anymore because we switched to days and everybody's got day shit to do. So, you know,
they can watch the replay. Fuck them.
That's what I said. You know, fuck these people. Like, I'm in. All right, well, tell people who you are.
Hey, I'm Brian Waterbury, a digital marketer and web designer. That's why I'm able to be on the show today. Do a lot of work with nonprofits and not small businesses anymore since they all got shut down, and also political work.
All right, and where do they work? Where should they follow you? Where can they interact with you?
You know, you can find me on Twitter at now one of my 3 handles, at Dr. Waterbury, at Dress for Liberty, and at One Dog Solutions. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
That's pretty cool. So, yeah, that's pretty good. You're doing good. You're doing good with yourself. A lot of popular stuff. So, all right. How you been holding up through this pandemic? Like, you got to be starting to get super pissed, I would think.
You know, it's the big 4 election year, and I typically get busier, but that didn't happen until later in the season because everything got pushed later. I was pretty upset. You know, when you have clients, fellow business owners that are hanging themselves, filing bankruptcy, both
now,
personal and professional.
Do you mean hanging themselves figuratively or literally?
No, the thing that Epstein didn't do himself. You know, they actually lost everything and decided to off themselves. It's
so you know, you know somebody that like lost everything and then it's just like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
Oh God, that would make me so mad.
That really. It wasn't until you know, some of my other colleagues and friends had started mentioning, you know, I mean, we've all seen the stats, but when you know someone professionally that you've worked with in recent years or years back, I know I've had a few people that have chosen that route, and it's really kind of shook me a little bit on, you know, I don't know anyone that's passed away from COVID, but I know people that have hit the bottle hard, been into other substances pretty hard, and chosen to take the easy way out, I guess, if you will.
These listeners are not sympathetic, and they keep asking if you're doing porn. Like just they're not listening to you. They're just looking at your fucking picture and assuming that you're some kind of porn guy.
You know,
I don't want an answer to this. God damn it.
I'd make more money than I was the last couple of months.
I don't think you would. I think you would make less money. You have a face that is not for porn, my friend.
Hey, come on, Ron Jeremy.
Rusty Grammar says, I've socially distanced myself from the pan-Democrats since before it was a cool thing to do.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Oh, man, the fascist calls and
it's like, am I the only one? And I feel like you're going to agree with me, but like, it kind of feels like a dry run for martial law, right? Like, I know as libertarians, we're all 1984 up in this bitch, but like, it literally feels more about compliance than safety.
Yeah, that, and actually, you know, I threw out one of my handles at Dress for Liberty. You know, some people dress for success, some people dress for fun. You know, Dress for Liberty is a side project that I was really kind of pissed off when the mask compliance thing came out, and I said, look, I'm going to start a online Liberty apparel store, and in one of the afternoon calls, Tim Waltz had said, the goal here is compliance. And it was at that moment that I had a quote that I could stick his mugshot next to. The goal is compliance. It's not about safety. It's not about anything else. It's about your compliance, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And the pandemic, if you look outside the U.S., around the world, you know, at similar nations and their declining death numbers, and you look at the U.S. and you're like, God, why are these numbers so high? And I've done document management inside insurance and medical facilities before, and I will tell you that if there's a government handout and money there, guess what? When that first was instituted back in the 80s, when Medicare was expanded, it's like, great, people now can, you know, get lower cost shit. Well, the providers found out real quick that the government paid 25 to 50 cents on every dollar and said, no, we're not going to cover this. We're not going to cover this. So they were doubling and tripling billing put into the government. Well, now that you have a handout through the CARES Act that says, hey, any positive case or state gets more medical funding, guess what? Everything's written in there to say, oh, this is bad. And then you have the morning, afternoon, and evening propagandists, the national news networks.
Oh man, it's like we got to a point where they went so full circle that like Fox News is more reliable than CNN right now. Like, and that's crazy.
And it's not just CNN. I've been, I mean, I'm working with, you know, a lot of libertarian groups this fall. I'm not working directly on the Joe Jorgensen campaign, which has actually worked out well. I'm going to be working with some PACs and super PACs on messaging.
What do you mean? You dipped out or what? Like, because you're usually the national guy.
I've never been involved with the campaign directly.
Really?
And yeah, and actually I can't be if I work with with a pack. That's completely separate. So, yeah, there's some weird rules about what you do. But I just for my own entertainment, watching the carefully choreographed delivery of news, and it's not even a question when you watch these news shows, and it's not just CNN, it's the ABC, CBS, NBC. You watch these shows, and if you've been in media as long as I have, you see how carefully choreographed these pieces are, and the shock and awe that is out there, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of like what I've been saying since April. I think like you were on the show and we talked about it, where it's like it just really feels like the Democrats are trying to sandbag the economy because that's the number one issue that gets a president reelected, and then it seems like the Republicans are kind of fanning the flames of war to balance that sandbag, but they're both just pumping this thing that the numbers, I mean, like, they just came out with new numbers today, and, like, they keep moving the goalposts, even though they're wrong about the deaths, like, every single time. It's crazy. And, hold on, we're going to get caught up real quick with King Kong Dong says our government is killing more people than coronavirus. I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. Jeffrey Rogers said 73 people in Beirut suffered from a COVID explosion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Everything that can be contributed.
JB wants to know if that's milk on your right arm. They're making a lot of jokes about how you're naked from the pants down. One person said that they want to bet money that that's a dick pic you cropped out. King Kong Dog says, dress for liberty. Do you just run around in your birthday suit?
Sometimes.
Totally Torqued. That's a weird name. I like Totally Torqued. Come on, subscribe, Totally Torqued, or at least follow. Give me something. Come on. I haven't heard the news alert in like an hour. Come on. Give me an alert icon or something. Work with me here. He said, why do you look like Akon? Shut the fuck up, Karen. Says, the doctor who did the fruit tests came out positive.
Oh, man.
Flu shots. JBTV says, Corona will be cured the day after the election. I mean, I think that depends on who wins.
Yeah, it really depends on who wins. And there's already priming that, hey, there's some new, different childhood illness that affects children. But speaking of that, you talk about schools and I've already called them indoctrination centers, but you look at how they're treating children. Don't trust other children. Don't get close to them. Listen to your authority. Listen to your teacher. Listen to the adults. That's it. They're being primed to be spoon-fed bullshit and raised to literally obey Big Brother. It's
Jeffrey Rogers says sandbagging means harboring extra. You mean tanking the guy? No, it doesn't. Sandbagging means like not trying when you could try harder. They're literally taking all of this and making it drag down because they're using it. That's what sandbagging is. You're dragging it down, bro. Calm down with your semantic fucks, Jeff. Jesus Christ. King Gong Dong says, I feel like all the reporters, anchors, Tucker Carlson is the most honest lately. I don't know about that. Hold on. We got like 3 more. Let me just get fucking caught up here. JJ's What Alcohol says it's fucking shameful what the Dems are trying to do to the economy. Fucking bullshit. And then Rusty Grammar says, I love rural Minnesota. Nobody has had or knows anyone who has had anyone besides Imholt, who allegedly had SARS2. A lot of small businesses put signs next to the CDC walls sign that says, come in, no mask. We'll assume you have a medical condition. Thumbs up.
No, absolutely. And speaking of the rural and smaller states, Sturgis is going on right now, and that's fucking fantastic. Good for them. What's really shameful, not the elected Democrats, but the assholes, the few assholes that I still see on some of my threads and feed that are like, I hope everybody that goes there dies from COVID, without directly saying that. It's disgusting.
More of that liberal tolerance we've been hearing so much about.
Well, what they're really saying is, you're not following with what my leaders told me to believe. So fuck you and go off and die. That really.
I believe the term is sheeple. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Tucker personally. Like these guys are all talking about how they like Tucker Carlson. I find Tucker Carlson to be he's like the shock jock of politics. I don't feel like he believes what he says 80% of the time.
Oh no, I mean it's a show, and you know it's a personality that's crafted. Absolutely. I mean, you watch some of the uncut dialogue on personal feeds from Tucker, from Tommy Lauren, from any of those personalities, and they're definitely in that hallway, in that camp, but what they say on air and in the show is crafted opposition, and there's a little bit of truth to it, but it's entertainment. There is no news anymore.
JBTV says being an individual is frowned on.
Absolutely, and it's getting more so every day. That's what a lot of these laws and the executive orders in Minnesota, especially where they have the tattle line. Tattle on your neighbors if they're having a gathering. Here's the call
JB's blood alcohol just said, JJ's blood alcohol just said, Tucker is great. It's unfortunate, though, about how punchable his face is.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, like, that's, like, I think that's my whole problem with this, is that they took coronavirus and they turned it into global warming all over again. It's like they didn't learn their fucking lessons from it, you know? It's like...
No, they learned a great lesson. And, you know, the Democrats, there have been a few that have been caught. Governor of New Hampshire, in particular, was caught on film being questioned when he said about the protests. Well, some causes are more worthy than others, meaning that you can gather for this, but not that. AOC was busted that we can't, you know, open shit up. It would make Trump look good if things recover. You know, if you go through deleted social media tweets, public appearances, there have been a few that have slipped up that aren't on the page that are clearly, you know, towing the line that we need to hide Joe Biden because he's going to fuck up and say something stupid like "you hate black,"
or that fucking corn pop shit with his curly blonde leg hairs. I mean, that guy has so many creepy things. JBTV says the lesson is blame the other side ASAP. Yeah, you're not wrong.
No, not at all. And so CBS this morning had a little clip where unscripted Joe Biden had an exchange at O'Keefe, their political correspondent, and he gave him a second chance. He said, okay, I know you're not Trump, but tell me why people should vote for you. And he's like, come on, man, I'm not Trump. He literally doubled down on it as that's the only reason
I mean,
to
that
vote
was
for
like
it.
his whole, like, fucking, when they were doing all the primaries, every other word out of his mouth was like, it was like fucking being John Malkovich, but with Obama. He's like, Obamavich. It's like, I don't give a shit, man. Tell me something about you. Because all I know about you is that horrific crime bill you passed and the fact that it seems like you can't talk in a complete sentence. But I think, like, a lot of the younger people, they don't really give a shit. They just love how awesome the memes were. You know, those Joe Biden Obama memes were classic.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic. And I mean, you know, I really don't give a shit who wins. I'm more worried about some of the Senate and House races that are out there.
Oh, I know. It's
really
absolute trash. Like I honestly, like, I think I might go to the cuz I was super into Jo Jorgensen for a second. She went all kind of woke on us now, and it's kind of like, ugh, whatever. You're just one of them. Like,
well, you know what changed is they added a few different people to quote unquote properly manage your social media. So some of the bites and stuff you're seeing is, you know, just change in social media management, which honestly makes a huge deal. I talked to the LP National channel a few weeks ago about how to do social media properly. And I pulled up every one of the candidates and state party pages, and I just said, look, here's what you don't do. And I went through and I said, here's why this doesn't work. And a lot of it's just presentation and delivery of the message. Great message, terrible marketing. And I actually...
But it's like, I just think, like, for me, it's like, if... I don't give a shit who's on the step. Like if you're saying that a staff member did that, to me that's even worse then. Because now you're saying that, like, I want to cast a vote for somebody who can't even manage their own fucking Twitter account. I'm out.
Well, who do you think manages Joe's account?
Even Trump uses his own Twitter account, Ryan.
Oh, yeah. A little bit. Well, I shouldn't say too much because it's fucking entertaining.
I just like it's weird. And so what I am thinking about doing is I might just go in there and just vote against every incumbent. I feel like the government's failed us, and if you have a job in the government right now, I'm going to vote against you. Period. Across the board.
Speaking of incumbents in primary day, CD5 which is the West Minneapolis and St. Louis Park, Hopkins.
Yeah, hometown, baby. Hold on, I got a skull horn for this. Yeah, there we go. You can't hear the sound effects, but they're glorious.
Yeah, I have the Twitch stream muted,
Doing
so
terrific.
It's not so super annoying in here.
I appreciate that.
But you know, the one of the most spent on races up to this point has been CD5 between Antone and Elon.
Oh, dude, that Anton guy raised so much fucking money so quick. It's fucking crazy.
Do you want to know why?
Yes, I do.
So, here's a little journey of the DNC, not just the DFL, but the DNC. They are abandoning the blue collar union attitudes,
which is really ironic.
They are also starting to ignore the Bernie bros and that crowd as far as progressive free shit for everybody. But so what they're doing is getting in bed and partnering with
doing terrific
large corporations. And the dog whistle on the right, we know is terrorist. Now the left is clearly identified that the fear factor in the dog whistle for their followers is health and be scared of some imaginary virus that you can't see.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense because, like, the big pivot point in the last 10 years has been healthcare.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's what's so funny, and I wonder if, not to derail you, but quickly, like, I wonder if you're seeing it too, where as somebody that is very libertarian, I'm noticing a lot of friends of mine being more open-minded about the way that I have thought for 10, 20 years now. You know, like I remember when I first, because like Ron Paul was the guy that got me on board, right? I'm a Ron Paul guy, okay? I read End the Fed, and that book changed my life, right? Yeah. And it delved me down this fucking hole of like fucking Hayek's Road to Serfdom, fucking Economics 101. I mean, like all the little fucking twists, right? And so like the thing about it that's so crazy is that like everybody that was making fun of me or saying, oh, all this bullshit, like I literally have half of those people coming to me and like, hey, could you tell me more about Joe Jorgensen? Like, I think that America is starting to catch on to what a threat the two-party system has become.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I'm probably a little ahead and behind, you know, right in the middle in between Ron Paul as a not libertarian candidate, but serious Republican candidate in 08. But behind his 1988,
watching how they fucked him though, that's what like devoutly turned me.
Yeah, and I think it really made a lot of the Republicans who were Republicans that felt comfortable within that rank. They were not on board with a lot of the platform, but were defensively in there because there were people like Ron Paul who were active in Congress that were libertarians. But before that, I mean, I first got on board with the Libertarian Party, not just the philosophy, with Harry Brown. And, that kind of ties in with Joe Jorgensen being his running mate back in the mid-90s.
JBTV says, but third-party systems just block one of the two. Maybe all of the labels are bad.
So here's the nice thing about that. Start the presidential election for a third party at this point, other than securing ballot access for down party individuals, doesn't really matter a lot. It's visible, but not really, because the media doesn't want to cover it. They don't say anything about it unless you get bit by a bat, and they don't want it in there, and they don't want it. The main two parties don't want a third party candidate in right now, especially because.
But they never do. It's always never this election. You know what I mean? It's always it's too important this time around. Every fucking election.
Right.
And until the American people see that both these parties are the same and they're fucking us, they're just going to keep doing it. It's like we only live to like 80 years, right? Like, I mean, obviously give or take, but it's like it takes 40 years to understand what they're doing. And then the next 40 years, maybe you can advocate, maybe you can change their minds, and then you're dead. And now they've got a bunch of new people that they've been manipulating since the get. Like you're saying with these kids. How many of these kids are growing up and it's going to be fucking like, 1984 or Anthem out there where it's just compliance, because that's all they fucking know. And specifically when it comes down to like coronavirus stuff, their safety is on the line with their compliance. So now your loyalty to state will directly dictate your health going forward from a propaganda standpoint.
Right. Yeah. I mean, having a third party in larger numbers than just one registered House, U.S. House rep actually makes a bigger difference, because even a small contingent, if you have just a handful of L representatives, they can actually block some of these horrible spending bills and these things that strip us of our liberty and invite extraordinary amounts of spending that transfer wealth to the politically connected from the taxpayer's pocket.
Oh, yeah. Sinister Mind says, so China's social credit system, we already really, like, honestly, the reality is that, like, cancel culture is kind of the exact same thing as what China's social credit system is. It's just done on a communal level.
Yep. I mean, we talk about the angry mob being what democracy really is. And that's it right there. An angry mob are public opinion telling you what you can and cannot do. It already exists. That social credit system, that's going to be, it's already here.
Oh, that's already, yeah. And that will be integrated on a level like theirs within, I don't know, man, fucking probably 2 years, I would think. Maybe even less. JBTV says Dems and reps are the two-headed dragon that feeds on power. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you watch on how narrowly some of these bills are passed, and it's always down on partisan lines and waiting for the handful of defectors one way or the other. Imagine if just that amount that it gets passed by, which is a pretty small margin, we're talking 5, maybe 10 people total in Congress. If we had that many L's at the national level, do you know how much better legislation would get passed? Because they can't do anything without their say.
They'll work with each other. I mean, that's the thing, is like they're getting to this point where they're not working with each other. Like these fucking weird ass filibusters that they keep doing. It's like fucking talk to each other. Look at that fucking when they had fucking Barr on trial. Like every Democrat, I reclaim my time. And every Republican is like, I'm not going to use my time. Answer that question they asked you that they wouldn't let you answer because they didn't like it. I mean, you had a round robin of Democrats telling the Attorney General, because here's the thing. I don't give a fuck what you think of Anthony Barr. I don't. I'm not a big fan of him personally. If you like him, cool. If you don't, cool. That's not relevant to this. That dude is the Attorney fucking General. Like, the idea that some elected official is going to quiz him and then tell him he's wrong about a legal process, cut him off as he's explaining said legal progress, is insane. And they did that back and forth for 3 hours. Every single person in this government's got to go, man. I swear to God, I still might put Joe on as the president, but on the local level, like today and all the other, like I'm literally, if you're in office, you're gone. Everybody in office has failed us. If you're in office, you're gone. I don't give a shit. I'm going to look at that ballot. And here's the thing. People get mad at me. They're like, oh, well, you can't do that. There's a libertarian. You have to vote libertarian. No, I don't. Not voting libertarian is kind of the most libertarian thing. I'm a libertarian. The worst thing about libertarian is the Libertarian Party. Sorry, Ryan, it's just true.
It is. No, you're not wrong. And I honestly, yeah, I spend more of my time on Twitter for a social media outlet, which is just a garbage fire.
Oh, it's hot trash.
Political hot mess. And the libertarians are, I honestly, well, we know they're the most sane ones on there, but holy crap. Talk about eating your own. And
what's my name? Sandy writes, Gary Johnson should have had the election in 2016. If everybody that said a third-party vote is a throwaway vote had actually voted for a third party, it wouldn't have been Trump or Hillary. Unfortunately, I don't think a third party will ever get in. Well, I don't know. Jesse Ventura did. You have to like keep building momentum, and getting in isn't even the goal. You want to get that government funding and that major party status.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to vote for a libertarian when it's a struggle to get on the ballot.
And he won't wear fucking dress shoes.
Good for him.
And he doesn't know where fucking Aleppo is.
Yeah, you know, when...
That's a bad... Like, look at it. I love Gary. I know you love Gary. That was a bad gaffe. And they totally fucking... If you watch that interview, they fucking set that trap for him. And he fell right the fuck into it.
They absolutely did. And you want to know how that played out? He actually met the polling level, the funding level, and the ballot access level to have security documents that would have let him know ahead of time what was going on. And so you had the other two candidates that are getting these documents are keyed up and know about what's going to happen. So the media completely set that up. I mean, the deck was stacked against him.
Well, not even that. Just like if you watch the clips, they hit him hardcore with like 3 acronyms, and then they ask him about Aleppo, and it's like in his head he probably thought it was an acronym.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He had to be on major news networks because he was getting enough coverage, and as much as you hate. And you and I don't like Bill Weld. He brought in a lot of funding to help him get those
fuck Bill Weld.
Money
fuck Bill Weld forever. That motherfucker went on national TV and advocated for Hillary over the guy he was running with. That guy can eat all the dicks and die in an AIDS fire.
Yeah. But
I literally don't care about like him being more Republican than I'd like. Like, you went on national TV and you advocated against the person you were literally on the ballot running with. Like, I'm sorry, but that is unacceptable. I get it. You didn't want Trump to win, but guess what? If that's the case, you should have fucking ran against him then.
Yeah.
And you did it on CNBC? Are you fucking kidding me with that? Or MSNBC, I mean?
Yeah, it was MSNBC.
Like, are you fucking kidding me with that shit? Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. So, you're going to vote against every incumbent.
Yep. Across the board.
Not.
I don't give a shit.
Yep.
If you're in office right now, you fucked this up. Everybody's got to go.
Yeah. You know, I think and this might be a stretch, the only libertarian that you may be able to vote for on your ballot might be president and vice president.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I'm mad at Joe, but not mad enough to not vote for her, probably. I think, like, my exchange is that because I'm mad at her, I won't advocate as strongly for her. Like, you've seen me in elections past where I'm advocating all the time. And I just don't,
absolutely.
I just don't, like, with her, it's like, she's a good candidate and everything, but that woke shit on Twitter, don't play with me. I hate that shit.
Yeah,
JBTV wants to know a few things. One, would you let Joe Biddy babysit?
Fuck no.
He wants to know
in the same block.
JBTV also wants to know, do you think Joe Biddy could make a TV dinner?
Well, Joe's from the era that his wife probably does all that for him.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Ooh, that's spicy. And then he just said Ralph Nader. Rusty Grammer says Jesse, Gary Johnson. Does Bernie count as a third party? No, because he was a Democrat.
No.
He
Bernie
switched over. He
turned in
switched
his
over his party.
independent card. Yeah, I think the DNC has learned a few things that their base wants. Some of the things that Bernie was advocating for.
It doesn't feel like they're learning, though. I mean, like, I don't know. If they're learning, what the fuck is Biden doing here?
He represents the connection to the corporate establishment. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. I mean,
he's literally just there because he'll kiss rings. That's why he's there.
Because he's predictable and he's controllable. So you look at Joe Biden, and he's there because he's a connection to the corporate funders, and some of the largest funders for the blue team are pharmaceutical and health insurance companies. So look, I mean, you look at that the billion handout that was given to AstraZeneca for the vaccine, which is untested and was completely funded. And then they're going to turn around and sell it. That money comes from the U.S. taxpayer. So they got a blank check to do research because this has been crafted as such a horrible disease. And don't get me wrong, corona can be bad for certain people, but most people it's not. So they're getting billions of funding. Then they're going to get billions in returns because the media has been scaring everyone that you need this. On top of that, we talk about that social scorecard. If you've looked at if you've looked at some of the phase openings on the blue state governors on their directives, mandatory vaccines to attend large events on like stage 3 or 4, and all the hardcore blue states that have locked down and done stupid shit. That's their directive, and that's their phase opening.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean it's.
So what do you think happens? What do you think happens to the election with this coronavirus shit?
So one of two things happens. There's enough leaked information out there from the MSM with I was just reading an article about, hey, 40% of people may have immunity, and further studies are needed as a minor footnote. But Biden wins. Oh, guess what? Everybody's good. Take your vaccine. You're good if you want to, but no, everything's good. Trump wins. More lockdowns. It's the worst thing ever. That reporting is buried and goes away.
I agree 100% with you right now. Like I have been saying the exact same thing, is that if Trump loses, the shit goes away almost immediately. If Trump wins, like this might be the next 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, it will.
Because it's all about bogging the economy and then sticking somebody with like, oh, look at that president was bad because of the economy.
Well, nobody really wants to win this election.
Well, but nobody wants to be president right now. Why would you?
You look at gold and silver prices. I haven't looked at Bitcoin in a while, but you look at the hard metals where you have your older investors who have money to lose. Metal is just insane right now. Gold broke 2,000. Silver. When you see silver shooting up as much as it has, shit's bad.
Is that that's a good metric?
The gold standard went away, but it never really went away for astute people that want hard assets.
Sure.
Yeah, King Kong. I don't think there'll be civil war. Yeah, the Boog Boys.
They're not gonna do shit.
No, they're not gonna do shit. As far as ammunition, firearms numbers, what I have been happy to see, one is NRA is getting spanked because they are not pro 2A. They are pro fundraising, and that's it. But among some of the numbers and the research into that, seeing Black Americans, female Americans buying firearms in larger numbers. And guess what? There are a lot of them that went to the firearm store, the gun shops, and said, hey, I want my gun. Well, you got to wait 10 days. Well, I need it now. There's a riot outside.
Yeah, got to wait 10 days. Tell the rioters to come back in 10 days.
Yeah, those laws that you asked for, there's no loophole. There's no gun show loophole. You got to come back in 10 days. And that's if you're approved. Yeah, Sandy, I mean, that's partially true, but there, as far as the military and police are concerned, it's kind of a toss-up on how they get involved on which team people are on. That's a civil war is kind of an interesting dynamic with
ammo. JJ's what I'll call ammo is actually pretty easy to find down here. Come to the cities. All right, keep going.
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends on what ammo. I pick up hollow point 9mm anytime I can.
Yeah, right. That's the new silver.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Murderapolis, and it's the #1 city again for murders in the U.S., surpassing
weird.
Chicago,
so you're saying when the police basically get pushed out of the city, the murder rates go up in a place that has a murder problem.
Yeah, surprise.
Hey, I'm just glad we're winning a title again. You know, our sports teams have been so abysmal. This just feels like a victory. You know, now let's go hunt down and murder Carson Daly, and we're set.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, talking about, college sports and pro sports getting canceled. And we talked about the propaganda from the media with the moving goalpost. And it's quickly changed to flatten the curve. Well, the curve's fucking flat as it's ever going to be.
Flat.
It's been flat. The numbers are never going to be where you said they were. You lied to us.
And they just, you saw the new adjustment thing that they just came out with?
What's that?
You saw the new, adjustment thing and the estimates for Minnesota?
Oh, yeah. That's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. I'm just... They keep spinning the numbers to keep everyone in a perpetual state of fear. And it's nuts. Now the message is... wear a mask to stop the spread. Well, that's bullshit. It's not stopping. You're not stopping it. It was always slow, so you have hospital capacity. Where is that? 144 days into our 14-day lockdown. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, right?
It's never going to end. We're prisoners, and we're being held at gunpoint. There's plenty of media out there with recent story I saw this morning. I think it was from the UK, where a woman refused to put up her mask when she was outside being choked by a police officer because she didn't want to do it, and she was outside. There are also a number of other reports of minorities being harassed because they're not wearing masks. Big surprise. Who knew that would happen?
That's, I think, what bothers me the most is, the data... The data is being manipulated by both sides, which doesn't bother me because it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And they're manipulating it in their favor.
The thing about it that's crazy, and I've done this, we've talked about this on this show. If you Google Norway, Norway had one of the biggest lockdowns in Europe. They reacted very extreme to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You Google Norway, then you Google Sweden. Sweden did almost nothing, right?
Right.
Their death counts are almost identical.
Absolutely.
You go to Minnesota, who we locked down ferociously, and Wisconsin, they cut loose pretty early. The death tolls are almost identical. What this tells us is that nothing we really do is going to matter. This is just something that you're going to catch. Everybody's going to catch it. And it's going to have a 99.5% survival rate if you're under 60. If you're over 60, it might get a little bit more harrowing, but guess what? You're over 60, that happens. It's just everybody wants to save their grandma, but nobody understands that if the economy tanks, everyone's grandma dies.
Yeah, and what's
it's like social justice issues, right? Like if you don't get the economy right, how far back do you think society will slide after a like fucking Mad Max scenario where the government dies? Because do you think there's going to be like fucking gender nouns? Because there's not.
It's not just the economy, because you could only go in to the clinic or hospital if you had COVID. Everyone was shut down. I mean, hospitals need to run at a profit. Even in nonprofit Minnesota, Park Nicollet has shut down their substance abuse program and 7 clinics around the metro. Mental health and substance abuse are some really key important things that need to go on right now, and they're being cut because, there's no funding. So you also look at cancer screenings, screenings for heart disease, anything that if you catch it early, you're fine. And our healthcare system is great at handling those things.
Right.
Guess what? None of those people went in.
Well, and JJ just mentioned it too. He said they're releasing prisoners to stop the spread instead of just giving them masks. What more do you need to know? And also, they're releasing people out of prison. My sister has been in and out of, since coronavirus, my sister has been picked up and released 3 times. Now, while that seems cool, my sister, she was in there for hitting a cop on one and these pretty serious crimes, which means when all this is over and she gets picked up, what should be her second strike ends up being her 4th, because she should have been detained for a few days during the first strike. And then they could just throw the book at her.
Exactly. No, it's all about control. And it's really sad. But next year, the deaths from preventable diseases, because the Dems wanted to play around and tank the economy, transfer wealth to their politically connected pals. The Republicans did it as well. They took advantage of it. But, the blue state governors really tanked things and shut businesses down, permanently closing a lot. Karen, sorry that your daughter lost her job in one of those closings. It sucks. That next year, when we look at the total death count, it's going to be higher in a lot of other areas than it was this year. So nothing that we're doing, it's going to have any effect. It's actually going to have a negative effect. Also, with all the people jobless, if there's no UBI, it's going to happen. I mean, Trump already superseded as a dictator, which
I think everybody knew was going to happen anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they're just bickering over.
Here, hold on. I'm gonna grab a soda. You keep talking this point and fielding questions. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, the virus is so overwhelming the delivery industry. You're absolutely right. I signed up to do Instacart as a kick when all my clients were closing their business. I'm like, I've got some free time. Holy crap. Just that delivery part of it is insane. Not to mention food delivery for takeout businesses. Let me see. Yeah, hospitals are fucked right now, and it's terrible. That they're backed up with procedures that should have been done months ago, and people are worse off for it. And when you talk about people that are in the hospital for procedures that aren't COVID related, if they test positive that they had COVID and they're in the hospital for a bypass surgery, guess what? They're an active COVID case counted that's in the hospital, which is not true at all. But that's how people get money. That's how hospitals get money from government. They have to throw everything that they can just to get any little bit of funding. And the CARES Act and COVID is a blank check right now.
Oh man, nobody likes this pandemic more than Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Amazon prior to the pandemic made most of their money with government contracts.
Isn't it? It's also like, here's something that is a little conspiracy theory though, right? This pandemic was kind of the perfect way for them to cancel their same day shit, which they were losing money on anyways.
Yes. Yeah, they've always lost some money. What they wanted was the data about you.
Right. And they get that. the shit's gone now, and they can like make a profit off the shipping and handling. Like it's just a very it's a very fortuitous virus for them.
Oh yeah, it's
and the more panic people get, the more that's the interesting thing too, because you look at Amazon, it's one of the most subsidized retail vendors out there. Obviously, they don't have a retail storefront, but I'm just saying for like warehouse. And so all this shit happens, everybody feels the wrath except for them. You know, like in Minnesota, Best Buy was forced to close. Target was allowed to be open because they had groceries.
Correct.
Like, so what we should have done is we should have actually taped off all of the electronics, because we were telling the people, hey, it's not safe to buy a TV at this other place.
No, it was all about picking winners and losers and arbitrary rules where, you see bars that are primarily bars not open, but you see restaurants being allowed to be open.
Well, and and movie theaters still aren't open here.
Yeah, it's
not that there's any movies that have been shot, because I don't think there's any movies that have come out. How could they? Direct to video, baby.
Yeah, a lot of the movies that were slated to come out in the theater, went to Prime, went to other streaming services. Netflix wasn't doing great.
Which is what they should be doing anyways. Like, the movie theater is an old, antiquated recipe.
It is. It's fun, but I can't tell you the last movie that I went to in the theater. It's not convenient.
Side 24981 writes, Russia developed the vaccine. Will mass production start? I don't know. There's going to be more testing, but like I bet there'll be some kind of smear campaign here about why it doesn't work. Or maybe it doesn't work. I don't know.
Well, it depends on if U.S. farm companies are invested in that foreign entity that developed it. That's really going to tell you whether
it's Russian, so probably not.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to follow the money. That's the big thing.
Right, but the money over there almost always leads to Ukraine, not Russia. Russia's an enemy on the like infrastructure side, even though they're not anymore. Like, most of the stuff, if you go over towards Russia for American money, it all goes to Ukraine, it seems.
Correct. Russia and China were buying a lot of gold very hard before this pandemic hit. Financially, the global markets were not doing well for the past year or two. It was all a facade and a storefront in the U.S. That when you looked at the market numbers, it was all fake money. But you look at the other superpowers out there; they were buying hard assets. It wasn't even a surprise.
Sinister Mind says, is Trump on Putin's good side today? That's how we'll know if we get the vaccine. No, it's not like that.
No.
JBTV says, Putin the cure in you. Yeah, it's a pretty good pun, buddy. Good job. Shut the fuck up, Karen says, don't you find it funny Russia and China effers don't have near the cases we have? It's not the test. China has absolutely the cases. They're just lying about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
China, I don't trust any of China's numbers.
No, their numbers are garbage.
I don't know if I trust Russia's numbers necessarily. But, Putin said some pretty astute things about the American media and the citizens and how they're being led around by the nose.
Well, and he would know because they've had fucking RT doing their dirty work for years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, state-funded media.
Like, fucking RT is basically Russian Fox News mixed with Chinese state-run media. That's what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Real conservative, though, if that does it for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things I did want to mention, and I need to reread the article again, but it was in the past day or two, there was a Strib article that talked about how bars are spreading the coronavirus. And their whole premise was that an individual was at Cowboy Jack's in Minneapolis.
So already that person deserves to die.
Hold on.
No, I won't.
And then,
you lost me at Cowboy Jack's, Ryan.
I agree with you. You could probably catch an STD walking across the bar room.
TGI Fridays are bust. I'm just kidding. I hate that place too.
Franchise wars.
The bees, baby. Let's go to the bees.
Dollaritas. But that was just a one line in there. You know, that okay, was that there? And then they had a news story about there were COVID cases coming out of there. And then all these people that were in cars together going to protests suddenly tested positive. And that was so downplayed that there were absolutely no COVID cases that happened because of these protests, because it was a thing that was good and on the political agenda. But going to a bar, that's terrible. How dare you?
I mean, that's exactly what it was with the protest, right? Stay inside, or you want your grandma to die. But if you don't go outside and protest, you're a racist. It's literally the blue fuzz on the towel from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's literally what this is.
Yep.
Everybody's got blue fuzz. You can't have it. Vote away, guys. Vote away.
Yeah, this election cycle,
This is gonna get dirty, man. Like I did not honestly think that shit could get worse than last election, and here we fucking are.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think voter participation again is going to be lower than it was last election cycle.
JBTV says if you don't get the Rona, you're a racist.
Well, you're all going to get the Rona, so nobody's racist, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It was never, like, that was the other thing. Now we got to hold out for a cure. Like, they keep moving the goddamn goalposts. Flatten the curve. More testing. We got to keep everybody safe. We got to make sure nobody dies. We got to hold up for a vaccine. What the fuck is it?
Well, they want to milk it for as long as they can to tank it so the blue team gets elected.
Dumb. But they're not going to, like, they literally learned nothing from last election. That's what we're finding out.
No. And at the messaging, you know, and I do a lot of research on the red and blue team's presidential messaging. Look at their ads, look at their targeting, look at who they're talking about, their talking points. They haven't done anything. And
nothing. They've done nothing. Like, they have to look at their constituent bases, and they have to let them know they did nothing. And this is, for me, this is literally why I'm voting them all out.
So, you know, cannabis legalization, 70% of polled Americans in any poll, any demographic that you throw at it, it's between 65 and 75%. So averaging to around 70% say legalize cannabis. You know what the DNC delegates and super delegates said when they wanted to put that on their platform?
What?
No, we're not going to advocate for legalization of cannabis. Does that sound very democratic to you?
No.
Yeah. And
let's see. K-Fallen said, did you see there were shots fired outside the White House yesterday?
Yep.
Lane says, Corey Adam, are those glasses, them anti-blue? Yeah, they're gaming glasses. So the reflection doesn't fuck with you. Plus, Ryan's here, and he's kind of my hero. I look up to him, and I want to do everything he does.
Hey, I'm glad I'm somebody's hero.
Hey, check it out. I'm you. Are you watching the Twitch feed? Check it out. I'm you.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I still see my mugshot up there.
You don't see me doing your
Nope.
mugshot?
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, it's so fucked up. JBTV says, tank our economy so they can create the one world government. You guys are twins. Yeah, I know, right? He's my dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got to grow the beard out.
Oh, they want me to check your back pocket. Okay, hold on. Let's see what we got in there. What is that? Oh, that's weird. Why is that all? Oh, what the fuck? An entire paper towel roll? Oh, God, you're dirty. Just a little bit more. Oh. Oh, this one's used? Ugh. Ugh. Looks like he's got some penis colada on him. Ha ha. Salty 16 winner 2020. All right, so what happens now, though? Nothing, right?
No, it's going to be business as usual, and it just depends on which team wins the White House.
But the Dems kind of want the Republicans to win so that they can, like, I feel like the Democrats maintain more power with their outrage base if they lose this election. Like, they kind of want to lose it.
You're absolutely correct. They do not want to be holding the bag with the economy tanking.
Right. Well, but more importantly, like, they being the outrage of, like, capitalism, because it's an attack on capitalism. That's what's happening. It's both of these parties are morphing in front of our eyes to capitalist and anti-capitalist. That's what's happening.
Oh, there's no morphing. They're both anti-capitalist.
I feel like I always felt that the Dems were more conservative than people let on. Like, the radical left is one thing, but, like, the Democratic Party is pretty center.
So they are, and that's why Joe Biden got the nod, because he's the corporate controlled one. And that's also why, we talked about CD5, that Anton is also the DNC's choice in there to weed out the hyper left-wing progressive Green New Deal members that they have on their team. They are becoming the big government corporate party. They've always been that way.
Yeah,
but
they've always been that way.
Hidden. Yeah. Now, this getting in bed deeper with pharmaceutical health insurance and the health
don't worry.
industry.
No, it's fine, Ryan. We're just legislated into being indentured to them through Obamacare. No big deal. We're fine. It's going to be fine.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I shied away from...
King Gong Gong says Trump is the biggest capitalist in the entire government.
Nah,
not
the guy that declares bankruptcy for, 5 times now and gets bailed out?
Yeah, that's not a capitalist.
No, not at all. No, he's a big government-loving Democrat.
Yeah, he is a rich, big Democrat from New York. That's who he's always been.
Yep. Yeah, and the yeah, he absolutely is. Look at his policies. Do you really need Bernie in there when he's calling out for UBI and paying people every day and writing executive orders to pay people to not go to work?
It's interesting how both, like, the last Republican presidents have given out monetary social relief while condemning socialism.
Yeah, the Republican Party is no stranger to socialism at all. They used to have different people that they would funnel money to. Now it's pretty much everyone. Some people just get more than others.
Fucking garbage. Yeah, we don't know. That's the hypocrisy has always been the thing with me that always bothers me is, like, how many people, like, every single Democrat that goes out there and votes for Biden, they owe every Republican that voted for Trump the election before an apology, because they all treated fucking Republicans like absolute trash. I mean, you and I talked about how we got, like, shrapnel damage and we're the third party. I got called a Nazi for voting for Gary Johnson in a state that went blue anyways.
So, yeah, it's I've been unfollowed by so many people on my Facebook side, so that's why I'm also taking politics off my personal page and putting it on my Liberty page from now on. But just seeing the people that...
It's sad though, like, let's talk about that, because I've also done that a little bit. I've taken most of the politics off Facebook, pop it into this show, and then on our Discord that we have, right?
Yep.
And, like, it's kind of crazy that, like, we're forced to hide like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's asinine.
Well,
we can't have our opinion because God help anybody who doesn't think like the collective.
Right. And it's really that collective groupthink out there that is damning and damaging. You're either on this team or that team. That's it. There's black and white. You have two choices. That's it.
And the other thing, like, then becomes this. Is Minnesota extreme for the rest of the country? Are we average for the rest of the country? Are we better than most of the rest of the country when it comes to this radical collectivism? And I don't know the answer to that. Because you see shit in Portland, you see shit in California, and it looks to be on the surface a little bit worse. So I would say we're probably on the more extremist side of it. But
we are.
The temperature of the country is something that's very hard to measure unless you're going around, you know?
Yeah.
And that's going to dictate what happens going forward.
Yeah, it's different in different pockets. Different states have different cultures, and they should. People think that, you know, you hear Minnesota nice, but we're not nice. Passive aggressive and obedient to a T. And if you're not on the team and doing what you're supposed to do according to what the little secret rules say you're supposed to do, fuck you.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Karen. New Boots means he was joking. That's what New Boots means. It's a reference to New Boot goofing. JBTV says, I think Minnesota's the problem. Well, you maybe should look at your own state, dude. Michigan's pretty fucked. You guys just had a governor that declared really crazy legislation to combat racism. Like, if you think Michigan isn't a problem, you're fucking high on fire, bro.
Yeah. Well, Minnesota follows the Minneapolis and Minnesota in general follow the absolute worst policies that they can find from the other blue team cities and states to a T.
Well, and then like St. Paul just follows Minneapolis.
Yep. Oh, otherwise nobody will want to be in St. Paul, which is, we already know is true.
Nobody wants to be in either anymore, though. I mean, like, look at the fucking migration out. Like, I honestly, like, I love Hopkins. I've lived in Hopkins most of my life. I enjoy it, right? All this shit has got me like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'd prefer Delano. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe it's time to just move a little bit further, like, because, like, the poverty and the violence and all the issues that are happening from this collapsing Mecca city, the inner suburbs are gonna be the fucking city. You have to go to another ring to just enjoy suburban life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's so bad. My girlfriend grew up in Minneapolis, in Uptown, close to where I lived for a long time, for
where do you live now?
Years. And she wanted to go to Elevated Wine and Spirits off of 55 and asked if I would come along. And I'm like, why do you want me to come along? Well, because I know you're going to carry a gun. I don't want to get carjacked. I don't want to get mugged. I want to feel safe. I'm like, okay, let's go to a different liquor store. Don't patronize them if you don't feel safe. Let them go out of business. Let the city crumble.
Yeah. I will not take my gun to that. You don't go to that store. Yeah, Wright County. God, where do you live right now?
Where do I live? Bloomington. On the far southwest corner.
So that's not bad. Kind of over by Edina almost.
We're right on the border of Eden Prairie and Shakopee, basically.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
So
you guys are kind of by me. I mean, because I'm basically Highway 7 and 169.
Right. Yeah, we're right off of 169.
JBTV says Randy Moss should be your governor. I would welcome that.
Yeah. No, that would actually be kind of fun. Having entertainment instead of the entertainment that I don't like.
Cheeseburger Pie said, my brother-in-law just sold his house in Brooklyn Park for far more than he should have got, probably because people are trying to get out of Minneapolis. Yeah, buying a house in Minneapolis right now is super cheap. Buying it anywhere outside of Minneapolis, I just got informed my rent's going up here.
It's not cheap in Minneapolis. There's an inventory problem. I don't understand it. I've talked to a couple of realtors, and I've talked to people that want to move out. Some friends from college live in the Powderhorn neighborhood. I don't know why the fuck they ever bought there.
Oh, dude, that neighborhood fucking sucks.
You know, with the homeless encampments, and I'm just like, you voted for the blue team that caused this problem. You have no room to talk. You got the government that you asked for.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
that's like everything
everything
that the Democrats wanted. The Minneapolis, like, that's what's so funny with Minneapolis, because they're like, oh, Republicans are doing this and that. You haven't had Republicans in a position of power in forever there.
So, Congressional District 5, I know we've talked about it, a couple of times. That has not had, and that's Minneapolis and the first ring western burbs, like the inner burbs. There has not been Republican representation in that area since 1961. It's been a long time.
JBTV says Somalia has taken over your state.
Well, if that were true, they keep telling me to move there. You'd think I would be happy here.
Nope. There's no happiness anymore.
No, there's not. And I think that that's part of the big push on keeping shit rolling lockdowns. When the Minneapolis Fed chair is like, yeah, we need to lock down again to save the economy. No, we don't.
No, we do. We got to keep everybody safe, Ryan. You're being really socially unresponsible. Yeah, dude, St. Cloud is sounding better and better.
I know. Getting farther away from this.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, like, it's funny because it's happening in Hopkins now. It's all the stuff, like, all the bullshit of the city just keeps pushing more and more to the outer rings. And people don't even see it happening. That's the thing. Like, they think you're crazy or this and that, like... Ellie says, when I move, I'm going at least an hour north or south of here. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the way to do it.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I used to like Minneapolis, 10, 15 years ago.
It was awesome, man. So for me, the big like changing of the guard was when Grumpy's went away. Grumpy's was like this weird, dirty heart of Minneapolis. And it was like a roadhouse before that, but that little place had always been a bar. And now it's just
Minneapolis?
condos. Yeah.
On Washington?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was like...
I worked...
Oh, go ahead.
I worked on 12th and 2nd for a couple years, and we would go to happy hour there all the time. I absolutely loved that bar. It was so fun.
Yeah. But it was like this weird heartstring, and then like it's gone, like everything, because they have all these luxury condos that nobody can afford. All of your small businesses are going out. All the businesses coming in are going to be gone in a year, and then they probably are going to sell the condos, and it's crazy. It's just like building infrastructure for housing crises.
Oh, yeah, and it's quote-unquote affordable housing. $1 million condos in there, but it's affordable housing.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Karen says, Cloud isn't far behind Minneapolis. You're right. No, nowhere really is. I mean, I honestly, like... I can't believe I'm saying this, but like when I move, I might just go back up to Hibbing. That's where all my family's from anyways. It's where I was born. And like Hibbing is like the red fucking pocket of Minnesota. It's also a garbage place to live. It's a fucking butthole, but like at least it's our butthole.
When I've talked to other people that are on the blue team over the past 10 to 20 years, and you explain that Minnesota is a purple state. And they're like, no, it's not. It's blue. And I'm like, have you been outside the fucking 5-county metro? Well, what are you talking about? Obviously, you haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. Now they're arguing in chat over if St. Cloud sucks or not. King Kong Dong said War Road was a relief when I was visiting.
Honestly, been training my father-in-law's dog, and he's in Wisconsin, a little ways in. But it's been a joy every other weekend going there on a Sunday, walking into a bar, ordering food, ordering drinks, not worrying about this mask bullshit. People are being
talking about Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, I went to Wisconsin 3 times this year just to go to a swimming pool. Diving is something I enjoy, and they were never open here.
No. And our...
Rusty Grammar says, not even purple. Anything outside of Hennepin or Ramsey County is a hard red. See District 6.
7 or 8 actually, Duluth area. That actually
Rochester too, right?
Rochester proper, but that everything around there is hard red. But I have a feeling with Mankato itself. I lived in Mankato for a number of years, and I would say it's probably purple, but it leans red from when I was there and watching elections. Representation-wise, as far as state, senate, and house, it's all red. But local government, it's kind of a mix. But yeah, CD8, Duluth, and into the Arrowhead. I have a feeling that actually might be turning red. So the blue portion of the state will only be the 5-county metro going forward.
You really believe that? That like seems like crazy talk to me.
It might seem like crazy talk, but did you think that we would have Hillary and Don in 2016, or
I did not,
two racist old white guys in 2020 as the answer to that dumpster fire of an election?
No, I did not anticipate any of that bullshit.
Yeah, well, that's why I mentioned earlier that the DNC and it's trickling down into the DFL that they might as well drop off the F and the L because they don't give a fuck about labor or farms at all. So the outstate that has maybe been blue because of unions and other contingents and groups that typically vote for that team, they know they've been abandoned and they don't really see that path forward. And that's been one of the strongholds is, unions in CD8 that kind of hold some things with labor there. But the DNC doesn't care about that. They're big corporate and they're not shy about it.
They're the biggest of corporate.
Yeah. So
JB says I have to take off, but good stream, man. Thanks for watching, JB. Come back and see us again. Hey guys, just so you know, follow JB TV on there. He does a lot of really good streaming. He's one of my favorite people on Twitch. J_B_TV. Check him out. I think you'd like him a lot too, Ryan. He's very good. He does very inconsistent time streams. He just kind of streams whatever the fuck he wants, but he just basically gets drunk and hangs out with the viewers. It's kind of nice.
Nice. I'm always down for getting drunk and talking shit.
Yeah, dude. Oh, right?
Yeah, except your show now is inconvenient to do that. I actually have to work during the day.
I know. I will say this, I moved it over here because I'm on that radio show, and the radio show ends at 10, so I can pick up some of the listeners right after the show, you know what I mean? So, the viewership will go up theoretically, but man, does it suck, because I wanted to move it up when comedy looked like it was going to start again, but now it's just not.
Oh,
and so it's I wanted to move it out of the evening slot, because, one, I like to have stuff to do on the evening, but two, I wanted to figure it out, I wanted to do whatever and then just go right after the radio, but it just didn't matter,
Yeah, so speaking of lockdowns and all this crap, I think there's going to be another lockdown in Minnesota.
Oh, I think so too. I was talking about this on the radio last week. I think that they're going to lock us down again. And I think again, all this shit just seems like dry run to martial law for me. That's what it feels like. It is.
It completely is. And so, we're facing another lockdown. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen before the election in some fashion. I think that Waltz will renew his peacetime emergency again. In the history of the state, there's been no dictator who's had sole power of legislation by the pen ever. So when that gets renewed, I think we're going to lock down again. They're somehow going to move the goalposts enough where he's going to lock us down.
Yeah, it's God.
So
I don't think you're wrong, but that does bum me out.
It does. I wanted to ask when you really see comedy coming back, but
never. I mean, that's what this represents for me. I don't know when comedy's coming back, so I had to make something else work on the fly. Right. And thanks to everybody here that fucking donates and stuff. Also, You guys aren't giving a lot of bits. The problem is like when you have too good of a show, they don't interact or give you bits. You know, because they're just hanging on the words. So like this is what it is now, I guess. You know, and I don't understand why or how, but that's just what it is. You know, it's who knows. Go over to Venmo at Corey Adam Comedy or go to CoreyAdamComedy@gmail. That helps a bunch. Thank you, JJ's Blood Alcohol content. Pretty awesome. Also, if you want to join in on the talk, head over to our Discord. You can also donate directly to the channel there, and you can follow me across all media outlets there. But so yeah, I think there will be another lockdown. I really do, and I think it's going to be weirder. The other thing I think is going to be weird is that upon seeing that body cam of the Floyd stuff, I think those cops are going to get off.
I think they are too.
And I'm not saying they should, but like I think they're gonna. And I think when that happens, if we're in another lockdown,
oh god,
it's gonna be uproarious because I believe that the protest happened the way it happened because of the lockdown. Again, yeah, I think people would have been pissed. I think there would have been a protest, but like the bedlam that we witnessed wasn't because of George Floyd. It was because of the pandemic and George Floyd.
It was. I mean, quite literally, with George Floyd and the government, they had the boot in the back of everyone's neck, and especially his. So that was just, it was a tinderbox sitting next to a powder keg, and that was the spark that set everything off.
Oh, awesome. Cheeseburger Pie going nuts with the subs. Thank you. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I'll turn that off though. It's super loud.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Cheeseburger Pie's great. Oh, look at that. He gifted you one. You got a sub, buddy. You're sub now.
I appreciate that.
Ryan, you got collared. How does it feel?
Hey, it feels pretty good.
I'm your daddy now.
Yeah, you talked about starting up the show and doing some different things because that's where we're at.
Well, you have to evolve or you die. You have to be able to roll with punches. I mean, like, and if this doesn't work out, eventually maybe I have to get a real job. Like, who knows? But you have to try everything you have to do. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I've been so busy I haven't had time to work on my own side project other than posting to my social media channels. But I'm hoping by the end of the week that I can launch some awesome face masks. I did make the one that says "Don't breathe on me" for you.
Yeah. Did you? Awesome.
It'll be available when the store opens.
Yeah. When is that store opening? You keep advertising it, but then it's not there. Makes me angry.
Yeah. I actually have people that pay me money to do their websites and their marketing. So gotta go
that takes
where the
priority.
money is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that it's going to be a fun little project for anti-government liberty and freedom gear.
The body cams, Ellie, the body cams that they released, they actually stop when the body cams you've seen start, so they're not nauseating, but like it puts things in a lot more context, and you understand. I mean, again, I don't condone it. Clearly looks like a murder to me, but you understand how it escalates when you see the whole fucking story.
Yeah, it does give it more context. Seeing that video come out, I think you're absolutely right, Corey. That I think that there's going to be a manslaughter charge, not a murder charge, for Derek Chauvin. I think the other officers are going to get off or a slap. They're going to remain fired from the MPD, but will probably be rehired in another police department locally or
spoiler alert, it's going to be St. Paul.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And this is a little trick that they do all the time that nobody really talks about is when a cop gets fired from Minneapolis for any kind of like brutality or anything like that, they usually end up getting hired by fucking St. Paul. Like, so
and vice versa.
Yeah, and vice versa. And so it's not like they really do anything, No,
not at all. That's just, again, another example of being politically connected. You got to protect your own.
it's just a sad state of events, you know. And then like again, if we get another lockdown going down plus this, people are gonna get pissed again, and it's just gonna keep escalating exponentially. There's no de-escalation. There's no de-escalation in sight.
No, you're gonna have another lockdown, and I don't think that the trials will be over anytime soon. I know they're trying to expedite it, but you know, you had your wonderful ANCOM mayor Jacob Fry and state's attorney putting their foot in their mouth and calling it murder, and there have been a lot of bad things that will get this case thrown out. In addition to the the released body cam footage, but Minneapolis will be absolutely trashed. I mean, not just
it's already trashed. Like, I mean, Target was already talking about not reopening that store they said they were going to open, and so Cub Foods is doing the same thing. Like, they're literally taking jobs away, and then the housing, it's just, and like all these small communities, they're going to be like, good, we'll start our own business and this, that. No, you fucking won't. Watch.
The people that say that, I don't think realize how difficult it is to start a business in the state, much less Hennepin County or Minneapolis. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I can say, as like somebody that was around Sam when he was getting like Sisyphus up and running, the amount of red tape you have to go through in Hennepin County in Minneapolis proper is fucking insane. Like, they have measurements for your marquee. You can't have signs on certain buildings. I mean, like, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
it's like a condo association from hell.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the signage stuff, because most people don't even realize how ridiculous some of those pieces are, where down to that little piece, that's nothing compared to the other pieces that you have to chomp through to even think about opening, the approvals that you have to do, and not just for breweries, it's any business that you open. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's and again, like, the thing that's crazy is that, like, in Minneapolis now, if you're a business, right, let's say you're just you and I are going to open a small, let's say, restaurant, right? We're targeting anywhere in the state of Minnesota. Minneapolis is where the traffic hub is, right? So, like, what's the incentive to go to a place where the minimum wage is higher, the taxes are almost double anywhere else, there's minimal law enforcement now, and there's more regulations than anywhere else? There's no incentive or reason to fucking be in Minneapolis proper. Not a single fucking one.
No, I mean, you have people that want to open businesses that don't realize this. They're passionate. They're, a good cook, chef in a niche, and then you get through the first filing, and then you realize all the other things, Hennepin County specific, and then Minneapolis specific, that you don't have to go through outside of the city. Sure, you have some local regulations that you have to go through, but it's nothing near Minneapolis. There's no way I would recommend anyone doing any type of business in Minneapolis if you can.
How do you think that's going to affect the rest of the state going forward? Like, obviously the suburbs are going to be in this nexus where, like, they're going to get fucked by it, but, like, how does it affect the whole state going forward?
I mean, Dictator Tim has really set forth a precedent that unilateral decisions come down from the blue team, and guess what? It doesn't matter if you're in Minneapolis proper or not. There are going to be nasty regulations coming moving forward. Doesn't matter. And
the other thing too that nobody's talking about is that fucking tent legislation, man. That's fucking nuts. Like, because like they were trying to get rid of that fucking powder horn community, right?
Yep.
So they now legislated that in Minneapolis proper, you can have up to 25 tents in a park.
Oh yeah,
So now instead of having a concentrated area of crime, you're going to spread it out throughout the city.
Yes.
It's like they do all this shit, and then they're like, see what these Republicans are doing, and it's the Dems are the only ones that have been in that position the entire time.
Yeah, it's a longtime friend from high school. She voted for Gary Johnson. Was upset when I said, well, Minneapolis is getting the government that they voted for.
Yeah, somebody actually just put in the JJ's Blood Alcohol content just wrote, Minneapolis deserves every ounce of the shit they're getting with the leadership they keep putting in there.
Yeah, no, and she said, what? So you think they should be punished? And I said, no, this is exactly what they voted for. This is the direct result of that. We've told you time and again, this is what will happen, but you didn't listen. Well, that's not right. And I'm like, I can't help you. You keep going in and pushing this crap and this corrupt bureaucracy that eventually people are going to be pissed off and either not invest there or can't afford to. And then you have shit situations for the people that live there. Sorry, that's what happens. Oh, yeah, Minneapolis is already in the ranks of Detroit, Chicago, and Baltimore. No question about that at all.
It's like new Detroit on the prairie up in this bitch.
It is. You look at every...
Ellie says, so sad. Maybe I go more than an hour away north. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like it's almost at the precipice where I would almost say leave the state. Like,
yes.
I honestly, like, for me, I would look at, like, I'm looking at, you want states that aren't entirely blue, so I guess they're red states, but, like, that doesn't matter as much, but you're looking for favorable gun laws and fucking dueling laws, because ultimately, the states with dueling laws are what's going to represent your freedom going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I really, and I made that point when my girlfriend asked me to be armed, which I always am when I go into the cesspool. And I just said, the problem with that is somebody pulls me out of the car. I put a gun to them when I get out, when I'm being carjacked, and I shoot them. Guess what? I'm at fault because our gun laws are fucking horrible in Minnesota.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, Montana, Boise, Boise, fucking Idaho, Wyoming, Texas. Texas is a good option. Nevada, Arizona.
Shit, even Kanye went to, what was it, Wyoming?
Yeah. Ellie, you can move it. You can move with me. I'm going to start a commune just outside of Austin, Texas.
Oh, man. I don't know. Texas is a little iffy for me.
So check it out with Texas, man. Like, here's the thing about Texas, right? As long as you move out of any of the major cities, so you have to be like we're talking like 45 minutes outside of most cities, you're fine. It's just rural area, and you're going to have the most property rights you can in this country. Arizona, too. Arizona's another one. Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and Texas have the best property laws.
Yeah, I mean,
it sucks to live in those places, but that's what happens.
Yeah, I'm really seeing a move to South Dakota for me.
Yes, the Dakotas are fine. The problem with the Dakotas is that, like, they're going to be the next ones to go. Like, because the only place to really go is, like Sioux Falls and shit, and that shit's already turning blue.
Yeah. No, and it's unfortunate that...
Like, you look at North Dakota, Fargo is already turning blue. Like, all the bigger dense areas, like, the way the propaganda works right now is that, like, you have to bow down to this, like, liberal culture or they destroy you. And so everywhere that's a populous area is turning blue because of that.
Yes, and it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, when there are enough failed cities that are blue, hopefully people will figure it out. But I kind of doubt it.
But they won't. Like, how many people has socialism killed? Fucking all of them. It still comes around, and everybody's like, oh, this is a good idea. Hook. My friend is from there, and they thought the equator ran through Texas. That's real stupid. I'm not saying, check it out though. I'm not saying go there for the people. The people are going to be dumb wherever you go. If you go, the more rural you get, the more ignorant people get. That's just how it is. Sorry.
It's true.
There are smart people that live in rural areas, but per capita, you're running into more morons than you are in the city.
Yeah. Well, that's arguable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, fair. I feel like you're running into a less quantity of morons. The ratio might be the same when you adjust for capita for population.
Yeah. No, I grew
King
up
Gong Dong
on...
says, "Where's Pelosi? I want to avoid her like the plague."
You don't want to move to California anyway.
California is fucked.
Yeah.
New York is fucked. Minneapolis is fucked. Oregon is fucked. Washington is getting to be fucked.
Yep. Yeah, anywhere that has a large blue presence in the major cities, and then when they elect governors continually on that team, you see the most corruption and handouts to connected businesses with the poorest service at the highest cost. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, King Kong Dog says, I'm originally from California. Fuck that place. Eugene's Pool Boy says, I have over 100 IQ, and I'm from rural Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still smart. Like, the thing is that it's like there are people that are going to be okay wherever you go. But, like, per capita, people get more simple the more rural you go. And that's like Hibbing, dude. You go into Hibbing and Chisholm, you run into absolute morons. There are some smart people there, but most of the people that are smart fucking go.
Yeah, I grew up in rural Minnesota, and the nice thing about it is they believe in simple solutions, nothing complex. Does it work or not? It doesn't matter if it followed these 10 rules.
Right.
It either works or it doesn't. Simple.
Yeah, it's the whole state of everything's the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but I think after we see some voter participation at an even lower low, that
but that's not the issue here, though. I mean, Minneapolis and Minnesota specifically, we have one of the higher voter turnouts in the country. Like people always go, oh, if we have more people voting, but like in Minnesota, we vote. Like we have a very good turnout for voting.
Yeah.
I want to live among rocks and cows, better company. You're not wrong.
Nope, not at all. I spend my entire fall away from the city, out in the middle of the prairie or the forest, by myself, with a gun and the dog. That's it.
Yeah,
it's very peaceful.
That's all you need. I like how you didn't include your girlfriend in that.
Because she's not there. She doesn't want to go out in the nature.
That's awesome. I'm gonna go live here. I'll visit her once a week. Give her a dose of the old gentleman relish. Whip out my trouser snake. Give her a little snake spray. Little ball barf. Little erectoplasm.
So I've been seeing some reports of some festivals or conventions in blue states like California being canceled in 2021 already.
Yeah.
That's
well, and that's
ridiculous.
like what do you think the odds are they canceled the NFL season? Because I think that's coming.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah,
it's canceled.
I mean, they already canceled Gopher football.
Yeah, and I mean it's ridiculous. Oh my God, these athletes that have low BMIs that are at the absolute lowest risk of anything that you want to transmit this disease. God forbid they actually play their sport.
Right. Well, and also, God forbid anybody focus on the fact that if your cardio's good and you're young, you're pretty immune to this.
Right. I mean,
God forbid.
It's kind of, and that's the terrible thing that, pushing the goalpost forward, making this worse than it is. And then you take these things away from people, these outlets and entertainment that put people's minds at ease and allow them leisure time to unwind and relax. The media's got people at stage red all the time. And now they're going to cancel all these sports. It's really disheartening.
Ugh. Welcome to 1984, bro.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta get rolling here. Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Tell people where to get a hold of you again.
Hey, you can catch me on Twitter at OneDogSolutions, at Dr. Waterbury, or at Dress for Liberty. Look for announcements on a really cool swag store and awesome Liberty articles coming soon. Hopefully this weekend, but we'll see how much more work I get.
Also, I made you a verified member on the Discord, so you can jump in and play all the games if you want. We got radio stations, but if you want to, we get in conversations under the political thread. You should jump in and fucking interact with the Discord more.
Yeah, I will do that in the future.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Hell yeah. Stay safe or whatever you do.
I'm not staying home, but I'll stay safe.
Yeah, why would you? ain't nobody trying to get out there like that. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
All right. That was Ryan Waterbury, the doctor. The doctor was in. Yeah, another Tom has left the show. We're going to wrap up a little bit earlier today. I got some stuff to do, plus I got to get to work on that Steel Toe show for tonight. We're going to move over into the end phase. Whoosh. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Twitch Talk. We do this every week. We do it from 10 to 1. You guys have been awesome. Have a great one, and we'll see you tomorrow, baby.
Supper fools, and he never took no lip. And after serial killers, Aryan